hottest bats in baseball gets back at it tonight. Eddie Rosario looks to extend his 14-game hit streak as the Twins open up the series tonight against the Red Sox. Minnesota's offense has come alive this week, averaging over 6 runs a game. The Twins have picked up 5 wins in their last 7 outings. Meanwhile, the Red Sox have a red-hot rookie leading the way. Andrew Benintendi's 15 RBI are third most among all rookies. Tonight on the bump, it's Phil Hughes going for his 5th win of the season against lefty Eduardo Rodriguez, who surrendered just 1 run in his last 2 starts. That all sets up Game 1 tonight of this 3-game series tonight against the Boston Red Sox here at Target Field. Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by State Farm. Welcome to an absolutely perfect day for baseball at Target Field, everyone. I'm Audra Martin. It has already been a very busy day for the Minnesota Twins. Lots to do and talk about outside of preparations for their opener tonight against the Boston Red Sox. It started with Miguel Sano, who had his appeal hearing today regarding that 1-game suspension. No decision made today, though, so he's back in the lineup as they wait to hear that decision coming early next week. Byron Buxton, however, is not in the lineup tonight after crashing into center field wall not once but twice yesterday. Paul Molitor says he's sore and he's had some headaches, but they're confident there's no concussion issues and he could be used in a limited role if needed. Now, Byron Buxton, that's one move, but another tough outing for Kyle Gibson means more roster moves. The Twins designated him, sent him to AAA. They also recalled utility man Ray Adriana, who was reinstated from the disabled list. They also designated Danny Santana in order to make room for the right-hander Drew Rosinski, who is available out of the bullpen tonight for the Red Sox. Now, the Twins are hoping for a good outing tonight from Phil Hughes. And up next, Jack Morris tells us why letting it go high and letting it fly is working well so far for the veteran right-hander. That's next on Fox Sports North.
very witty.
He's a really funny guy. Likes to joke around.
He's kind of a jokester. He's really funny.
You never know what he's thinking. Doesn't give you much expression.
Very sarcastic. Very dry sense of humor.
Very dry, but you never know if he's insulting you or not.
He's a lot of fun to have in the clubhouse.
Man, is it ever a gorgeous night for baseball at Target Field. And oddly, Phil Hughes will be making just his second start of the year here at Target Field, the opening game of the series between the Twins and the Boston Red Sox. And we welcome you to Target Field, Dick, joined by Jack Morris for this 3-game series. 2 teams each with 2 games above the 500 mark in the 1-loss column. Phil Hughes hoping this year to experience the success that he had 3 years ago in his first year with the Twins, even if he's got to go about it in a different way.
Yeah, Phil's doesn't have the fastball he once had, and yet he's still able to throw a lot of strikes. He fills up the strike zone and challenges hitter. You can see that he's had success this year up in the zone with his fastball primarily. He shows the curveball, he shows the cutter, he's throwing more changeups, but he's able to still get the ball by hitters up in the zone, and I think that's a case where you can see by this graphic how his pitch selection has changed somewhat, getting away from mostly fastballs and throwing more of the off-speed and breaking balls. But Phil, you know, he's got to learn how to do it. He doesn't have the velocity with the fastball, so he's showing that he's had success by just throwing the ball over the plate, letting the defense take a hold.
And he'll be taking on a Boston lineup that unbelievably is struggling to score runs. Twins had a good series against the Oakland A's. They'll hope for another good one against the Boston Red Sox. Yesterday, a couple of home runs, and Hughes picks up a strikeout, 2 down. Swing and a miss. And a strikeout ends the inning. Got him looking. And Phil Hughes taking the mound. He's off to a good start in the 1-loss column. 4 wins, 1 loss. Winning just a 1-game last year. Of course, he had some injury issues, and he's hoping to be healthy and be an innings eater, finishing somewhere in excess of 200 innings if he can. And Hughes with an ERA of over 5. And John Farrell can't figure it out. This team has hitters hitting for a high average. They're having a hard time producing runs. Here's his Menard's batting order for the opener. Dustin Pedroia, Leading off, Andrew Benintendi, one of the top rookies in the American League this year. Then Mookie Betts, Hanley Ramirez, Xander Bogaerts, Mitch Moreland, Josh Rutledge, the latest third baseman, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Christian Vasquez.
And they're going to be facing the right-hander Phil Hughes. He's making his 6th start. Very good month of April, win-wise at least for Phil. 4-1 with a 5.06 ERA. Had his struggles against the Red Sox in his career. 26 appearances. He's 6-9. So looking to get back to 500.
And if he can just get Dustin Pedroia out, his night might be very successful.
Yeah.
Pedroia's really owned him. Inside 1-1.
Yeah, every lineup seems to have a hitter that the pitchers have problems with, and sometimes those guys are the cleanup type hitter where you want a pitcher around them. Pedroia is one of those guys that, because he's a leadoff guy, you have to go after him.
High ball out to left center field, and Kepler is the center fielder. We'll talk about that in a second. And Pedroia is in fact retired. Here's the Northland Ford defense for the Twins.
Well, it's going to be pretty much a little bit different. Eddie Rosario left, Kepler out there in center because Buxton a little banged up. Robbie Grossman's going to play right field. Polanco and Dozier up the middle. Miguel Sano at third. Joe Mauer at first. And Jason Castro again behind the dish for the Twins.
Now, Byron Buxton passed the initial concussion protocol yesterday, but he still had some headaches after a series of violent collisions last night in the outfield at the center field fence. Benintendi taking strike 1 from Phil Hughes. Even if he's had to go about it in a different way, as you detailed in our open, the game plan is still the same for Hughes to get ahead. He still is very much a strike thrower.
Yeah, he's not going to walk a lot of hitters. He's going to come at you. He's not afraid to give up hits, and he's given up his share this year. But I think he's a good example to some of the younger pitchers that if you throw the ball over and trust your defense, you still can have good results.
Kyle Gibson watched him pitch for years, and that, as it turned out, was one of the biggest issues Kyle Gibson had, getting ahead of hitters and throwing strike 1. 1-2 to Benintendi. And now 2-2. Trip Gibson behind the plate. Brian Gorman at first. Dan Iasanya at second. And Mike DeMuro at third. 2-2 to Benintendi. It's hit down the right field line, hooking to the corner. And a foul ball. You look at these batting averages and you'll see them again as the players come up individually throughout the night. So it seems odd to tell you that the Boston Red Sox are 12th in the league in runs scored. Benintendi's hitting. Pedroia's hitting. Mookie Betts, Hanley Ramirez got some power. Bogaerts hitting .330.
It is amazing. You know, they're near the bottom in overall team defense. They've had, what, 26 errors, I think, this year, which is crazy. They're last in the American League in team defense, and yet they're up there second in team pitching. So obviously there's a formula that is kind of untypical of Boston.
On the outside corner. 2 down.
And there you see Phil able to pick that outside corner. Benintendi not necessarily happy with it, but I think Fox tracks will show that it was a strike. Castro not even moving his glove. It's right there. And Trip Gibson says yes, good enough.
2 down, and now Mookie Betts. So over the course of the weekend, and we'll be televising all 3 games, over the course of the weekend we'll get some shots of John Farrell, and invariably I suppose we'll get a shot of him scratching his head. He's been doing a lot of that. He can't figure out his team.
Well, they've got a lot of young players, you know, players that a year ago we were just couldn't say enough good things about. Bogaerts, Betts, you know, Bradley Jr. had a great year last year.
To right center field toward the gap, and that is a hit, and it'll go to the wall. It's at least 2 for Betts, and he'll glide into second with a stand-up double.
But you got to believe that they are missing Big Papi. David Ortiz was an ingredient that really could clean up and get some runs. You see that breaking ball there, a little cutter down and away that Betts somehow reaches out and puts the ball in play. Pretty good pitch there for Phil Hughes, and that's what I'm talking about. He's not afraid to throw it in the strike zone, even though that's going to have more success than that kind of result. Phil's going to still throw it. He's got 2 outs. Why not? Let him hit it.
And now Hanley Ramirez. Ramirez taking over Ortiz's DH duties with the Red Sox. Breaking ball off the outside corner, ball 1.
A little bit of longevity there for Hanley Ramirez. You see 1,500th career game here tonight, Target Field.
One and 0 to Ramirez. Chopper left side, backhanded by Polanco. Over to Mauer. The 2-out double does no damage, and Phil Hughes has a scoreless third inning. The Oakland A's had a chance for a sweep, and they did not get a good start from their starter and didn't play a very good ball game as a result of that. The Menards batting order for the Twins in the first game of this Boston series: Brian Dozier, Joe Mauer, Miguel Sano, Robbie Grossman in right field and in the cleanup spot, Max Kepler, Eduardo Escobar, Jason Castro, Jorge Polanco, and Eddie Rosario.
And the Twins are going to face the left-hander Eduardo Rodriguez. He's done a really good job for the Red Sox so far this year. Real good strikeout to walk ratio. Pretty much fastball changeup guy. Does have a good slider that he'll use, but that's his third pitch. It's mostly fastballs and changeups, and he's done a better job against right-handers because he can locate that changeup down and away, and he doesn't do that to left-handers.
The Twins have 4 left-handed batters and some other switch hitters who will hit right-handed, but Dozier in there with 1 ball, no strikes, and now a strike on the outside corner. The early season splits are dramatic for Rodriguez. Left-handers hitting .333 against him, and right-handers less than half of that. Dozier takes strike 2 on the outside corner, and he looks back.
You were asking me
Gibson
before the game about why does that happen? Well, he doesn't locate that changeup well to left-handers. He can do that. It's kind of a fade-away pitch for a right-hander. So he's got to invent an off-speed pitch to left-handers. And he hasn't quite found that feel yet on the breaking ball.
And Dozier on a high fastball strikes out. 1 down. That'll bring up Joe Mauer. Northland Ford defense for the Red Sox. As Jack mentioned, they've had some issues. Benintendi in left, Bradley in center, Betts in right. They've had a revolving door at third base. Pablo Sandoval is hurt, and some others have been hurt who tried to play there as well. Bogarts Pedroia up the middle. Moreland, Gold Glove winner at first base last year. And Christian Vasquez behind the plate. Here's Mauer, first left-handed batter that Rodriguez will face. And there's strike 1.
Been a while since Paul Molitor has used Joe Mauer in the second spot in the lineup. He's been hitting cleanup here for the last couple weeks, but a little change in the lineup again because Buxton is not playing center field.
Joe didn't get hit much, but he just got hit in the elbow by a pitch. So he'll take first base, and that'll bring up Sano. Now the Red Sox have some issues. Pitching isn't one of them, particularly with this guy on the mound. He's been really good as of late.
A lot of strikeouts. He just has got the ability to be able to put away people, especially right-handers. See some of the pitch selection here. There's a little slider, and he will throw it mostly again to right-handers. He's done a lot better job with the right-handed hitters this year than left-handers.
Here's Miguel Sano. Lifted foul down the right field line. Yes, I think it's foul. That ball is off the wall.
Sano didn't know it either.
Mauer to third, a long carom off the wall, and Mauer's being sent home. He will score, and Sano goes to third. That ball had no slice on it at all. From a right-handed batter, you just assume that ball's going to spin foul, and instead Sano nearly hit it out.
Yeah, it's like it developed in slow motion. Miguel Sano didn't react any better than we did up here in the booth. You can see him watching the ball, figuring that it was going to be foul. Barely starts running.
His head is looking down the left field line, and the ball went down the right field line.
My old teammate Dave Bergman's favorite swing. Look to left, hit it to right.
Well, the bottom line is the Twins have the first lead, and the infield is in now for Robbie Grossman. On the ground and deflecting off the glove of Rutledge, Sano will score on Grossman's single.
Well, it might not be the cleanest way to start an inning for the Twins, but again, giving Phil Hughes a little run support early.
Grossman beat it right into the ground, and Mauer was not coming home, or Sano wasn't, because you can see, until Rutledge deflected the ball into left field. A base hit for Grossman, an RBI, and here's Max Kepler.
It's the third hit and 6 at-bats for Robbie Grossman off of Rodriguez.
Outside ball one. I mean, Sano can hit the ball a long way, but a bit of a stretch, I suppose, but the most solid contact made in this half inning was the ball that hit Mauer in the elbow. And the Twins have a 2-0 lead.
I was noticing Joe doesn't always wear that pad on his elbow, does he? I think that's where it hit him. Yeah. So he's pretty smart about knowing when to wear it.
Yeah. One and 0 to Kepler. Played outside again, 2-0.
It's almost a rarity. I know you and Bert have talked about it so much about the shifts. And here, Max Kepler, the infield's playing straight away. Looking for a double play ground ball, perhaps. Outfield pretty much straight away. They just don't have a big enough spray chart to figure out how to play Max Kepler.
But they break it down with such detail now, Jack. Where does Kepler hit the ball? In what count against left-handers?
And what pitch off that left hand? I mean, it's that detailed.
That's why when we see Twins outfielders reach into their back pocket for a note card, that's what they're looking at. Okay, the count's 2-1. What does hitter X do against a left-handed pitcher or a right-handed pitcher with a 2-1 count? 2-1 to Kepler. And he takes a strike to even the count. John Farrell saying before the game today that Rodriguez has been better as of late with an improved slider, a better changeup than he had last year, and a better idea as to what he can do to get out of situations like this. Left might have been a change up to the lefty, and he left it up.
Yeah, that's the cookie. That's the one Max Kepler would love to have back. Yeah, coming in tonight's game, Rodriguez has only allowed 1 earned run in his last 17.1 innings. He's really been pitching well. He's only given up 7 hits in the last 70 batters he's faced prior to tonight.
Well, the Twins haven't been knocking the cover off the ball, but they've got a couple of early runs here, and now 2-2 to Kepler. 3-2.
Let's look at the pitch arsenal for Eduardo Rodriguez. You see mostly fastballs and the changeup. Very few sliders, but that's the pitch that he needs to work on, especially to left-handers, because he doesn't feature that changeup too much to left-handers.
Grossman leaning, staying put, and the ball looped down the left field line towards the tarp and out of play.
I think there's a little bit more to that chart than what you see with 3 pitches. When you see a guy that throws as many fastballs as both him and Phil Hughes in his prior to his thoracic outlet syndrome surgery, you know, these guys know how to throw a fastball. They can throw it in 4 spots in the strike zone. So it's more than 1 pitch, and even though it's, you know, possibly only 2 to 3 miles an hour variation sometimes when they take a little off, it's the fact that they're able to locate it in all 4 quadrants of the strike zone that makes it such an effective pitch.
Right back to Rodriguez, and Kepler beat the relay, stayed out of the double play, kept the inning alive, and that'll bring up Escobar. Kepler reaches on a fielder's choice, and that'll bring up Eduardo Escobar, the designated hitter.
Now, Kepler runs well, a lot better than a lot of people want to give him credit for, but this play kind of develops somewhat slowly. Rodriguez took his time getting rid of that ball. He wants to make sure of that out at second base, and by then Bogaerts didn't really have a lot of time to get a speedy Max Kepler. See, he's kind of waiting for him to get to the bag, then he throws a changeup to his shortstop.
Escobar swings through a fastball. The options available for Paul Molitor in the DH spot, well, could have been Grossman, of course, but the Twins need him in the outfield. Kenny Vargas is not hitting as well from the right side of the plate as the left, and Escobar is hitting very well from this side of the plate. This one lifted foul and into the seats, 0-2.
Well, you've been talking about Escobar, not a lot of playing time, but it seems like he's made the most out of his opportunities, and he's gotten a hit or two in almost every game that he's played in. There you see Kenny Vargas. His numbers not quite as good off of Rodriguez as
Escobar.
As Robbie Grossman.
Oh, it's Robbie Grossman.
And that's why Robbie's in the lineup. Robbie's now 3 for 6 off of Rodriguez.
Vasquez really good behind the plate, throwing out runners. So we don't know whether Kepler, with 2 strikes on the batter, whether he might be asked to take off or not. And the pitch is up to Escobar.
Well, when you have a left-handed pitcher on the mound, even in this situation with 2 outs, if the manager decides to send the runner, it's going to be on first move. That's just kind of standard way that all teams go about it, because you can't wait for a left-hander to come to his pause and set position in his delivery towards home.
A little bit lower, but still up. 2-2.
He's got a fairly good slide step. He's not real slow in getting rid of the ball, so it'll be tough to steal on him. And see that ball just out of the zone.
Two. And a soft line drive to Bogaerts, and that'll wrap things up. But the Twins get a couple of hits and a couple of runs in the first inning. A RBI and a run scored, and the Red Sox are missing David Ortiz, who, talk about going out on top. My goodness, that was one of his better all-around seasons after he announced it would be his last season.
Isn't that crazy how that worked out? But David, I don't know, at age 63, thought it was time. And look at the numbers. It's crazy what a great year he had last year. And I'm sure he had a lot of pressure from friends and people who wanted to encourage him. But he decided that he was going to go out. And I don't know how he could turn back all the gifts that he got as he took the lap, the victory lap.
Leadoff man is Xander Bogaerts here in the second, then Mitch Moreland for the Red Sox. And Hughes shaves the outside corner. And not to beat a dead horse, but Phil Hughes is getting ahead of everybody. Strike one, it seems like. Isn't it 5 first pitch strikes here? 4?
Well, that's a live horse. That's not a dead horse.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. And Phil Hughes has done that really his whole career. He's not afraid to throw the ball over. And it seems like already early in this game, he's got a little better feel for his breaking ball. Sometimes he struggles with that early in the game.
Breaking ball, and Bogaerts wouldn't chase.
But that's a good indication for Phil. He's got a good fastball, good command of his fastball, good breaking ball. Now we'll see if that changeup is part of the arsenal tonight. If it is, he's probably going to have himself a pretty good evening.
And that's punched into center field safely. Bogaerts just protecting the plate, got the barrel on it for a leadoff single, and let's find Audra Martin.
Hey guys, it's time for our car scoop from the clubhouse. Earlier today, Paul Molitor said Byron Buxton is sore and is dealing with some headaches today, but they're fairly confident he does not have a concussion and he could be used in a limited role if need be. When it comes to filling Kyle Gibson's spot in the rotation, they're waiting to decide between Alberto Mejia and Jose Barrios because bad weather in Rochester could affect their starts. He also says the bullpen is fairly gassed, but newcomer Drew Rosinski is available. He says he's not an overpowering guy, but has a good cut fastball and can throw that curveball for a strike early on in the count. So we'll see if we see him at all tonight for the Twins.
Thank you, Audra. And there is another first pitch strike to Mitch Moreland.
Yeah, there's some changes growing here in old Twinkie Town, but the Twins are finding themselves in a position where they're in the hunt. You know, it's the end of April, and
Yeah.
if you look back at last April, the record on this date was 8-20. So many of us are pleasantly happy that they're in the middle of the pack right now. I want to show you this last pitch again to Bogaerts. It's a slider. Look at the command. Look at the location. I mean, that's a pitcher's pitch. And you got to tip your hat to the hitter at that point. You either made a mistake by not busting him in and straighten him out, but when a guy can reach out and just put the barrel of the bat on the ball and put it in play like that, you got to tip your hat to him. That was a great piece of hitting by Bogaerts and a great pitch from Phil Hughes.
There's a reason he's hitting .330. He's a good hitter.
Yep.
And now 0-2 to Moreland.
Again, Phil Hughes getting ahead of the count. 5 hitters right now. He's gotten strike 1 on.
And Moreland chases 90 miles per hour up.
Okay, and that's the pitch that we talked about in the pregame. How does he get away with that fastball right around 90 miles an hour? That, you know, most high school kids, when they're looking for it, can handle that.
See the Sanford Health injury report. Stephen Wright, the knuckleballer, out for the year with a knee issue. Pablo Sandoval working his way back with a right knee problem. John Farrell talked at length before the game today about how much they miss Brock Holt and his versatility. Able to put him in the outfield, the infield. Was their third baseman in the playoffs last year. Another first pitch strike to Josh Rutledge. So with Sandoval out and Holt out, Rutledge getting a chance to play at third base.
Well, every manager goes through stretches during the year where some of their key players are banged up, and you've got to really, it's a test to the rest of the team how they react when some of their key players are out. David Price is the one I imagine they're missing the most.
1-1 to Rutledge. a dozen at bats on the year for Rutledge. And Hughes spun a breaking ball inside, 2-1.
Well, Phil is not a real big-time ground ball pitcher. He's more known as a fly ball pitcher, but this is a great situation where if he could throw that breaking ball that the hitter would top and drive into the ground, maybe get himself a double play ball.
Back, and it's 2-2. The Boston starting lineup has a total of 14 home runs in it. The Twins starting lineup has 26 home runs. Red Sox have only hit 18 home runs on the year. And the Twins have hit 30. Two and two to Rutledge. Grounder left side, cut off by Sano. Fumbles it, has to use his arm and can't beat the speedy Rutledge down the line. He made the catch, juggled it in his glove, and lost the force at second. And Rutledge reaches, and he'll get a base hit.
I don't know how this can be ruled a hit. First of all, he fields it cleanly. You see him bobble it, and then trying to get it out again, he bobbles it again. There's no way that can be a base hit.
But
he had options at second base. Number one, he couldn't get the ball out of his glove, and then he had another option at first base where he couldn't get the ball out of the glove. But it's a great day to be a hitter in the big leagues, I guess.
And to be clear, officially scored a hit. That wasn't my opinion.
Or mine.
Okay. Jackie Bradley Jr. and a rare misfire on the first pitch from Phil Hughes. It's 1-0.
Let's look at Phil's hot zones. You can see the success he's had in the upper part of the strike zone. Most of those are fastballs. You don't want to hang breaking balls up there, but you saw by that one strikeout that he got on Mitch Moreland, a fastball 90 mile an hour right over the middle of the plate on the upper part of the strike zone. And I talked to Roy Smalley about that. I said, Roy, you know, I know for a fact that there's always been pitchers that hitters have a tough time picking the ball up. And is Phil one of those guys? He says, you know, he's not necessarily a tough guy to pick the ball up, but it sneaks up on you quicker than you think it does. So his 90 equates to maybe 92 to 94 for a lot of hitters.
I would think that especially would be true given all the off-speed stuff. We've seen pitches in the 70s, that one in the low 80s, and now you do get that fastball maybe up just out of the strike zone, and it's hard to catch up to it.
Well, the other thing is, you know, hitters are kind of accustomed to seeing the ball down with his off-speed pitches. You saw that pitch that Betts hit there, that slider down and away, or was it Bogarts? Excuse me.
Yeah, got the base hit.
And you know, those are pitches that hitters have to be aware of down in the zone. So when you get that fastball up, your eyes light up, but you don't realize that you're already tardy. You didn't get started quick enough.
1-2 to Bradley. Tying runs are aboard here in the second. The outside corner, 2 away.
Good changeup right there. That's painting the outside corner.
3 strikeouts, 2 of them looking for Phil Hughes.
This is where you want to throw a changeup down and away, and he just hits that bottom quarter of the strike zone, coming off the plate a little bit. Great pitch.
Christian Vasquez. Off the plate with the breaking ball. Very demanding of himself, and I think we've seen that. And he has missed it with a couple of his pitches, and he's pretty disgusted with himself. He's what, 6 first pitch strikes out of 9, and he missed there, and he kind of snapped the glove back at the return throw from the catcher, and now fouled away 1-1.
Well, I think we've seen a Phil Hughes that has been competing out there. You know, we've seen a lot of pitches. Pitch count has been part of his problem, not going real deep in some of his starts. We also mentioned that he's always this year has had really good run support. In this game, no exception. You know, already spotted a 2-0 lead. But with all that being said, he's still battling out there. And you know, Phil wants to win. I know that for a fact. He's out there wanting to win.
Grossman retreating. This ball hit deep to the warning track, and he makes the catch. A pirouette at the end, but he got there. The Red Sox leave 2 on in the second.
Well, a couple key strikeouts for Phil Hughes, and a really nice catch for a pirouetting Robbie Grossman.
Combination. Twins have been hammering a lot of long balls, but generally hitting the ball a whole lot better over the last week or so.
Which is all good for a young team. The confidence that they're gaining, more and more of it, knowing that they belong here in the big leagues, that they can handle big league pitching. Certainly needed to take care of a couple teams in their last stretch of wins. Kansas City and Oakland not playing their best baseball, and they did that. They won both series.
Here's Jason Castro. Swing and a miss. 1 strike. Castro, then Polanco and Rosario. Just outside 1-1.
You see their back-to-back fastballs from Rodriguez, one on the inner half for a strike, then just missing the outer part of the plate with the same pitch.
And again, just off the outside corner.
Vasquez doing a really good job back there trying to frame that pitch. Sometimes you fool your own pitcher. Gotten a few arguments over that because they did a good job of framing it.
Vince Hughes was
yeah,
right
I thought it was a
umpire.
strike. You have to go back and look at the replay, realizing it wasn't.
2-2 to Castro. He'd like to pick up a few hits in this series and get the batting average headed in the other direction. Sitting at 194 right now.
Yeah, Jason, he really had a great first week. Opened up the season here at Target Field and was welcomed with open arms by Twins fans because of the way he caught the ball and hit the ball in that first week. But it's been a little inconsistent since then.
Well, let me ask you, as a former pitcher, how much credit can you give the catching tandem of Castro and Jimenez for the fact that the Twins are pitching so much better than they did last year? The team with an ERA of 3.97, which maybe doesn't sound that great, but it is 6th in the American League. On the outside corner, he finally hit it. Castro knew it. One down. Let's get the big story tonight from Audra Martin.
Is all about the long ball in Chicago. Chris Bryant and Kyle Schwarber each with a solo shot today against the Yankees. But it was the big one that came off the bat of Brett Gardner. A 3-run blast with 2 outs in the 9th inning, giving the Yankees the 3-2 interleague win against the defending champs. Guys?
Nobody wanted to watch that game today, right? Yankees and Cubs, boy. All of New York and all of Illinois were tuned into that one.
1 strike to Polanco.
Back to your question about how much credit can you give the kid catcher? Well, first of all, I think if you remember, Jason Castro was brought over here because of his ability to frame pitches, right? And I'm being as honest as I can. I haven't seen him do an exceptional job of that, but what I have seen is he's done an exceptional job of blocking balls in the dirt. And how many runs has he prevented because of that?
Polanco right over the third base bag. He'll dig for 2. The ball rolls by Benintendi, and it'll be a double for Polanco. A ground ball just out of the reach of Rutledge.
So the Twins get another runner in scoring position. See, the pitch is fastball right down the middle, kind of handcuffs Polanco a little bit, but goes right over the baseline. Third base umpire Mike DeMuro calls it a fair ball.
Well, I think we saw what you talked about in the middle game of the Oakland series.
Yeah.
Things were falling apart in the 9th inning. Castro made a series of blocks, one of them an incredible block, and it kept force plays in order and ended up keeping the double play in order.
Sure.
The double play that ended the game. And without some of those blocks, who knows, the Twins might have lost that series.
You know, I've always said this, a catcher, anything you get offensively from a catcher is a plus because of just the demand that they have on their body behind the plate. And if you got a guy that, you know, I was probably as guilty as anybody. I beat the heck out of catchers because I would throw my forkball in the dirt. And I'd do it on purpose, knowing that hitters would swing. And you need to trust in his ability to block the ball. Castro's done a great job. Now, Jimenez, I think he's more of a bench jockey kind of guy. He's helping guys in the game, pitchers that he's talking to about pitch selection. What do you want to do here? You know, so I think you bring in a veteran who's been around the game and reputation as just being a great teammate. You know, 2 guys that overall, you know, we haven't seen great numbers offensively from either one of them, but I think overall it's a plus for what the Twins have done by adding those 2 guys.
2 strikes to Rosario. And a little bit low, 1 and 2. Jimenez, by the way, looking forward to this road trip. He's going to go to Chicago and Cleveland, and when he's in Cleveland, he's going to get his championship ring from the Indians.
Yeah. It's not quite as cool as when they get them as a team. I've gotten them both ways, but you're still happy to have one.
1 and 2 to Rosario. And 2 and 2. That's right. You got your Twins ring when we went to Toronto, I'm guessing,
yeah.
Right? Because you had already gone to the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Rosario with the 14-game hitting streak. And among regular players, he's got the highest batting average this side of Miguel Sano, 293, and he's hitting 9th. A high fly to the left field corner, chased by Benintendi, and now over. He lost it and made the catch. It appeared that he lost sight of the ball, but found it in time to make the adjustment, and Rosario almost took him over the wall to left field.
I thought that ball might have enough carry. There is no wind, so obviously it didn't, but Benintendi, the way he went after it, he looked at the wall first. Look, you saw right there, he threw his hands out like, I don't see it. Watch right there. He's kind of like, where is it? But he kept his eye on the ball and found it again.
Here's Brian Dozier, struck out swinging his first time up. He's had very good success against Rodriguez prior to the strikeout. 4 for 6, 2 home runs and 2 walks, and he takes down and in a ball. You saw it too. It always was comical in a sense, although I was sympathetic to the infielders and outfielders at the Metrodome. who lost sight of the ball, and they would look at their teammates as if somehow
they're going to help them.
That would help them.
Well, you know, if you can't see it, I suppose you might as well see if somebody else can see it. And that's what they were trying to do.
1-0 to Dozier, and dug out by Vasquez.
You don't want to get caught in that position. We've all been there, whether you're a little leaguer or a big leaguer, where the ball goes up and it's either in the sun or you just lose sight of it. It's an awkward position. You don't know which way to go. You don't know if you should move or protect your body because it might hit you somewhere.
2-0 to Dozier. And now a strike.
Again, Boston, 2 outs. Playing Dozier pretty much straight away. Shifted a little bit to the left side on the right side of the infield. And nothing like we've seen from other teams with Brian.
Fouled over the Twins dugout. 2-2. We talk about it in the context of position players, and you've got to have at bats until you can relax and let your talent come through. I would imagine it's the same for a pitcher, isn't it? You've just got to live through some failure and some difficulty to finally have things click for you, unless you've got overpowering stuff. 2-2. And foul back.
You saw him try to go up in the zone right there. Yeah. You know, for me, and I think this is for a lot of pitchers, you get to the big leagues because you have confidence in your primary pitch, whether that's a breaking ball or a fastball. You have a pitch that you can throw over at any point. And for a lot of guys, that secondary pitch is something they don't want to go to when they're in trouble because they don't trust that they can throw it for a strike. And you might have a veteran catcher wanting to call it and giving you the experience to throw it enough to have confidence. But until you actually do it enough to know that you can throw it when you're behind, that's the big issue. I think once you're able to throw your secondary pitches over, then you become a pitcher that can succeed at this level. Because you have weapons, you have different looks. You're playing that back and forth cat and mouse game with the hitter all the time. Who's outguessing who? What are you going to throw here? You know, if I'm Brian Dozier, I'm going to sit on a changeup away. And if I can see that, you know, look at the hole on right field line. Look at all that room out there in right center. But if you're pull happy and want to yank, you're never going to hit it there.
Popped up. Right center field. Mookie Betts comes in and makes the catch. Polanco left at second. We head to the third. Twins up 2-0. All on Fox Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit buyfordnow.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. By Grand Casino, the best stories start here. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. What a gorgeous day today in the Twin Cities for most of Twins territory. It was just a wonderful spring day and a gorgeous night. We're happy you're with us for Twins TV. Dick Bramer and Jack Morris for this series. And the Twins in front 2-0. And Dustin Pedroia will lead things off against Phil Hughes.
Good to see this ballpark almost filled with Twins fans.
I think they said it was a sellout. It's the University of Minnesota night. One strike to Pedroia, then Benintendi and Betts.
The Twins, for those of you that may not know this, the Twins play the Red Sox quite a bit in spring training. They're both located in the town of Fort Myers, Florida, and because of the convenience of travel, they see each other quite a bit. And you would think that both teams would have an advantage over that other team just by knowing them, right? But spring training is spring training, and it just doesn't always equate to what happens during the regular season.
It's kind of the gist of a conversation I had with John Farrell before the game. 2-1, Pat foul. Farrell said he was stunned last year when the Twins stumbled out of the gate because he saw them in spring training.
And they played so well in spring training.
And they won 83 games the year before, and they had these young players. And for somebody who lived through it last year, it was some consolation, I guess, that other people were surprised that the team was so bad last year. 2-2 to Pedroia. Great history, including 5 home runs and 42 at bats against Phil Hughes. On the ground, and Dozier shifted, is able to make the play 1-1. Red Sox just happy to get out of Fenway Park and away from the Orioles for a while. That happened in Baltimore. Machado's slide triggered animosity that carried over into the next series.
Well, it became a who can outplump the other.
That's the worst one right there.
Yeah, at his head. At his head. You don't want to ever throw it there. And we're seeing more and more of that too, where the pitchers are throwing behind guys.
Gosman thrown
out on a breaking ball, but it hit the guy, and that's where Commissioner Rob Manfred had to get involved. He did something that I don't know has happened too much in baseball. He got both teams on conference calls and let them know that we're not going to tolerate this anymore.
And Farrell said today with the commissioner in town, he said that helped. Just to get on a conference call and to have a third party intervene, that he was the leader of the industry, almost was incidental, but somebody else other than the Orioles and the Red Sox trying to mitigate it. Here's a drive to center, and Kepler going back, still going back. That ball's gone. Benintendi to straightaway center field. It's his 4th of the year, and it's 2-1.
Well, we saw in the last series against Oakland how many baseballs are going out in dead center field. Benintendi, one of the better young hitters in baseball, and you can see that here's the pitch. Man, he went down and got it.
Change up, down and away. Can't really fault the pitcher for that too much, can you?
No, you usually don't see that kind of result, but he had to be sitting on it. If he's out front a little bit, he's not going to have the power to do that.
And down the middle, a strike to Betts.
But back to the whole incident with the Orioles and the Red Sox, I just think that baseball has gotten so worried about contact.
Rosario with a sliding catch and left.
Another great defensive play that helped Bill Hughes get the second out.
Betts with a double his first time up, and then this bid for a hit denied.
You've got to commit right away. You see Eddie Rosario right from the crack of the bat is committed to trying to catch this ball. You're just hoping that it doesn't get caught in the lights as you charge it, because you can't ever keep leave your eye contact from the baseball. But good job, good instincts there for Eddie.
So 2 down, and now Hanley Ramirez. He lifts it up down the right field line. It might be a foul ball. It is.
Quickly, I'm going to try to put in perspective this whole incident again. Baseball's changed rules. Buster Posey gets a broken leg because of his inability to get his body in the right position to catch a ball when a runner's coming in third. So what do? They eliminate the contact at home plate. For 100 years, baseball has had great athletes at short and second base know how to defend themselves, how to get out of the way, how to take care of base runners who came in hard by dropping down, throwing at their coconut. But because of an incident where a guy overslides or takes out a runner, breaks a leg, then they changed that rule.
What'd you think of this slide?
Well, I think it was a case where Manny Machado was just doing what he always did, but he's broken his ankle, all right? Remember that? And so he realizes that he slides a little bit late, and he might have done that because of the wet surface. His foot comes up quickly. You have control of your foot. I don't know. I mean, I don't believe that was at all intentional. You could see that Manny was trying to help Pedroia back up. He didn't mean to hurt him, but that's what started it all.
It struck me that, I mean, they weren't going to get a double play anyway, and it was a close play, and Machado had to go down into a slide, but he went into a late slide, and it almost appeared to me that his spikes hit the bag and bounced up, and then caught Pedroia.
And I love the way Pedroia handled it. He said, hey, I'm not the baseball police. You know, I don't think it was anything. He's an aggressive player himself. That's the kind of slide that Dustin Pedroia would want to do on the same play. So
and probably has.
You know I'm old school. I'm sure there's a lot of listeners that don't want to hear about my generation, but that was what made the game fun. And you know, the aggressiveness, the intimidation that can happen when runners knew how to take out guys at second base. Now it's almost bang bang. In fact, I've heard some players from my generation say, why even slide? Just go to right field, get out of the way. And that's what you're seeing a lot of from a lot of runners now. They don't even attempt the slide anymore.
2 strikes to Hanley Ramirez, 2 down here in top of the third. Ground ball to Sano, right at him, and the throw chest high to Mount. Benintendi's home run is the Red Sox on the board. Presented by Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the Twin Cities. And by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Dick Bramer and Jack Morris along with Audra Martin here for the opening game of the 3-game series. We're expecting great weather again tomorrow and Sunday. Benintendi with a home run to center field, cutting the Twins lead to 2-1. Twins got their 2 runs in the first inning with 1 out. Joe Mauer was hit by a pitch. And then Sano tripled off the right field wall. Grossman grounded a single into short left, and the Twins had their 2 runs. Down and away, ball 1. Bauer, Sano, and Grossman will hit here in the 3rd. Maybe a few more.
I think we saw Eduardo Rodriguez kind of settle in a little bit there in the 2nd inning. That pitch there that looked to me like it was off the plate a little bit, but throws a lot of fastballs. And he's got very good command of that fastball. You see by watching the catcher, when he sets up outside, he's pretty much in that area. When he sets up inside, he's pretty much in that area.
And another one on the outside corner, 1 and 2.
And that's what John Farrell was talking to you about, the fact that he's able to command his fastball, which makes his other pitches more effective. You don't always have to throw the kitchen sink. When you can hit your spots in the zone, then when you make mistakes, you want to make sure you miss off the plate.
Right back to the mound, and he'll get another assist.
3 straight fastballs.
1 away in the 3rd. Let's go find our Audra Martin.
Well, guys, Miguel Sano had his appeal hearing today regarding that 1-game suspension he's potentially facing. And I asked him if that has been weighing on him over the last couple of days. And he said it really hasn't. But he, quite honestly, thought today would be the game that he would have to sit out. So he, yesterday, kind of approached it as today would be the day he'd have to watch from the bench. So when he got the news that he would actually be able to play, he said it was a bit of a weight lifted off of his shoulders because he knows that he brings a lot to this lineup, and he's hoping that he can continue that bit of hot streak we've seen from him against the Boston Red Sox. But now it's just a matter of sitting back and waiting. And so now he says the anxiety is kicked up a notch, waiting until Monday or Tuesday when that decision is supposed to come down.
So we're going to miss 1-on-1. Thank you, Audra. If it comes down Monday, it's an off day for the Twins, and then they open up Tuesday in Chicago.
I don't think he's going to get suspended. I just think that if they were going to suspend him, they'd have done it right today. They already have seen all the video. They know what's going to happen. And I think they're just trying to figure out a way to say, no, we're not going to suspend him.
Well, I hope you're right, because as I suggested on Twitter, if they're going to uphold the suspension, then they should send out a code of conduct for what a player is supposed to do when a glove is shoved in his face. Pitch is up, called 3rd strike. I beg your pardon, and Sano didn't care for that call at all. 2 down.
Let's take a look at it. It's a fastball. You can see it misses by 3-4 inches, but wow. Yeah, that's above his hands.
So 2 down.
3rd strikeout for Rodriguez.
And that'll bring up Robbie Grossman, and there's strike 1. Grossman with a single off the glove of Rutledge, scoring Sano from 3rd base back in the 1st inning.
Well, you can see Christian Vasquez, the Boston catcher, many times is showing a high target for the left-hander Rodriguez. They're trying to throw that fastball up, and more pitchers realize the success they can have with that pitch. You know, it wasn't a strike in my generation. Anything above the belt, never. Not once in my career do I remember a called strike above the belt. Now, I got strikes, but they had a swing. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, with those kind of pitches that we just saw Sano getting called out on, why wouldn't you throw it up there?
Backpedaling is Moreland, and Grossman almost beat it out, but it's a 1-2-3 third. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm.
important for us to try to be proactive in situations where we think there is a serious threat of somebody getting hurt. The Baltimore-Boston situation had escalated to the point there were a couple of pitches thrown that, really very dangerous. And we just thought it was time to get the managers together, get the general managers together, and impress upon them that this had to stop before something really bad happened.
Commissioner Manfred visiting the Twin Cities. He's staying for a few innings. He may have already left. He's got a wedding of a friend in town. And he talked about intervening in the situation that developed between the Red Sox and Orioles. Chopper to short, waist-high hop. Polanco swings it across. And Bogart's quickly retired. And I was interested in talking with John Farrell, who said that really helped. Both teams needed someone from the outside to say, hey, cut it out. This is just, it's going on too long.
Yeah, and I'm a little surprised by that because usually one team does something to offend the other team, and they get a guy, and then that guy, the other team might get one more guy, and usually there's a little bit of a scuffle on the field that somebody might show some dominance and be done with it. But this seems to be going on a nightly basis, although, Gausman threw a breaking ball. I'm not sure that was intentional, but the umpires, I'm sure, were forewarned prior to that game. If anybody gets hit or anything close, you have to throw them out of the game.
We'll have an extended interview with Commissioner Manfred as part of our pregame show on Sunday. 1-1 to Mitch Moreland. One of the things that made that situation fester and seemingly never end was the fact that they had a series in Baltimore, and then the next week a series in Boston, which is going to happen with the unbalanced schedule. Castro can't catch that one, 2-1. But to the extent there's any issue between the Twins and the Tigers, there's a cooling off period. The Twins won't see the Tigers again until after the All-Star break.
Well, and here's my question. What creates rivalries? I mean, both teams playing with the exact same records in September going for the pennant. Is that what creates rivalries, or is it stuff like that where fans get annoyed with other teams' players? I think those are the kind of things that create rivalries. We don't see them that much in sports anymore. There's a lot of friendships. A lot of guys with the same agent as the guy on the other wearing the other uniform, and they're going to have dinner after the game. So you don't see the emotion that we have just witnessed between two teams like Boston and Baltimore.
2-2 to Moreland. And a called third strike. And Trip Gibson rings up Moreland. 2 away. You can build your Target Field schedule with the Flex Plan. Get 20 tickets to use any way you'd like. 10 games with a friend, 5 games with 4 friends, or 1 game with 19 friends. Plus, your tickets are discounted, and so is your food and beverage, so you can learn more at twinsbaseball.com/flex. Well, to follow up what you were just talking about, the best rivalry I was a part of as a broadcaster was 10, 15 years ago, the Twins-White Sox rivalry. And that was inflamed through hard play on the field and comments to the press.
Yeah.
And most of them came, frankly, from Ozzie Guillen, who, for most of his tenure with the White Sox, seemed to
say the wrong thing.
Well, certainly, but almost act as if he'd prefer to be managing the Twins than the White Sox. 1-1 to Rutledge.
I think he said a lot of things to charge up his own team. That was his way of giving them a pep talk.
Another one hit to center. Kepler has room for this one. And Hughes rebounds from the third with a 1-2-3-4. remember Max saying after the game, as he got to first base and he saw where the ball landed, he said, "Did I really hit that ball that far?"
Got to be a great feeling. It's just got to be a great feeling.
Went on to hit 16 more home runs. 17 home runs in less than 400 at bats. One strike here as he leads off the 4th inning. And now a ball.
Now, it seems like a tendency for Rodriguez. He wants to pitch those left-handers away. Way away. Fastball, a little bit of a slider once in a while. But they're staying away from Max. But when you have a fastball in the mid-90s like Rodriguez has, and he has pretty good command of it, you always have to be aware of in, because you never want to get cheated in. You never want to get beat inside. And so it's hard to dive out there when you're behind in the count.
And Kepler taps it foul to stay alive. Kepler, Escobar, and Castro here in the Twins' 4th.
See, that was a changeup, but you don't want to throw a changeup on the inner half of the plate. You always want to throw that down and away, just because the hitter can lose his lower half quickly, but if he keeps his hands back, he still can drop the barrel of the bat on the ball if it's on the inner half.
And Kepler called out on strikes.
He locked him up with a fastball in.
Busy day today following a busy day yesterday with the Twins optioning Kyle Gibson to Rochester after the game yesterday. Danny Santana designated for release or assignment. He's got to go through the waiver process, and my guess is somebody will pick him up. Still a physically very talented. Ray Adrianza reinstated from the disabled list, and Drew Rucinski was called up from Rochester because, as Audra mentioned before, bullpen's kind of tapped out. You can't have too many regular turns through the rotation when the starter's knocked out in the 3rd or 4th inning.
There's Arianza right there. Yeah, and you got to believe that we're talking about Rucinski, he's going to be here until they need that 5th starter again, and that's going to be what, 5, 6 days, 7 days or something like that. So a lot of changes. Certainly wish Danny Santana well. I gotta believe he's going to be picked up by another ball club. A young guy, still has so much upside. Just didn't get a lot of playing time here in the Twins uniform here in the last couple of years.
Again, the importance of, but the insignificance of, if that makes any sense, of spring training. Danny Santana had a really good spring. He looked good in the field, at the plate, and looked like he was ready for that expanded utility role that the Twins envisioned for him. A physically gifted player playing in the outfield and the infield.
Switch hitter.
Switch hitter.
Good strong arm.
1-2 to Escobar.
You know, I'm going to say this not because of anything other than the fact that I believe Danny Santana is still going to be a good ball player. And sometimes a move is the best thing that can happen to a player. Now, I certainly don't want Danny to come back and make the Twins pay for it, but it wouldn't surprise me if he gets to work himself into an everyday job with some organization again and has success. I wish him well.
2-2 to Escobar. And foul back.
We're also not ruling out the fact that he could clear waivers.
Right.
I would be shocked if he does.
Yeah. And if that were to happen, well, then the Twins can send him down to Rochester and let him play every day and maybe work his way back up here. Escobar hanging tough at 2-2.
You know, here's another guy that hasn't had a lot of playing time this year with the emergence of Jorge Polanco.
Hot ground ball picked up by Rutledge. And a close play, and they're going to call him safe. Brian Gorman, the first base umpire, hesitated. The first signal was given by Jeff Smith. Then Eduardo Escobar said he was safe, and finally the first base umpire agreed.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to make sure of this one, and
it's going to be hard to overturn whether the original call was safe or out.
John Farrell's going to want him to take a look at it, I think. Yep.
that will not be overturned. That's my prediction.
I'm not going to predict a thing, because the more I try to figure this one out, the more confused I get. Now, the rule states that you have to have significant evidence to make sure that it's overturned. I don't know how you do that.
And again, it would be just as unlikely for me. The catch is right there, and Escobar's foot is on the bag, I believe, is it not?
Sure looks like his heel's already touched.
And if the call were out and the Twins challenged, it wouldn't be overturned either, I don't think. And what, I don't, I played first base in high school, that's all. But his legs are stretched towards second base and not towards the throw. And now with replay.
It's funny, I was just telling my son about that the other day.
Well, I mean, but
the art of playing first base. Yeah, you have to wait until you see the throw before you stretch towards the baseball, correct?
Right. If he had done that, would he, we're talking frames of video here.
He would have got a little bit more distance closer to the ball. So, yeah, he might have been able to catch it. Good point.
Well, Escobar right now is safe with an infield hit. And he will remain at first base.
A good hustle for Eduardo.
Who's the best stretching first baseman you played with? Ken Herbeck, when he was young, was the best I'd ever seen.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Herdy was, man, he was good. He used to go out there at first base and pretend he was a goalie. With kick saves and stuff.
You would too if you had Gaetti throwing you those sinkers.
But he could pick it, and he really was good.
Well, a man aboard for Castro. Called out on strikes his first time up. Checked his swing, took low, ball one.
Rodriguez has been cruising along here without any base runners. And now with a runner on first, see if that maybe put a little more pressure on him. But certainly a different feel when you're out of the stretch versus out of your windup.
Outside 2-0. He's thrown pitches out there that have been called strikes. Scratched across a couple of runs, did not hit the ball hard in the first inning. Now they're trying to take advantage of an infield hit with one out. To the left field corner and caught by Benintendi. Castro hit it hard, maybe too hard, 2 down. That'll bring up Polanco, but first Toyota will get us caught up. See Sano's fly ball down the right field line. Karaming off the wall for an RBI triple. Then Grossman hits one into left field.
Yeah, a little magic there. Ball that's hit off the third baseman. Benintendi straightaway center. Giving the Red Sox their first run of the game.
Polanco grounded a double over the third base bag.
It's not surprising this is a close ball game, really, when you look at the two pitchers and the records with the Red Sox. 22 of the Sox's 28 games they've played in have been decided by 3 runs or fewer, including 15 in the last 18 games. So they've been in this situation a few times this year.
Jammed a fly ball to left. Benintendi waits and catches. The Twins are done in the 4th. We'll head to the 5th with the Twins up a run. Dempsey fan of the game, enjoying a pleasant night. Look at that. Jack got a little tank top on there. Don't have to wear a jacket anymore.
Summer.
Forget spring. Summer's here, man.
Oh, what a beautiful day. You know, the good news is, if we had days like this every year, all year long, we'd have way too many people in Minnesota.
It is kind of the most pleasant time. The mosquitoes aren't in full force yet. So
yeah, what a gorgeous day.
One strike now, a ball. You and I have similar interests. I spent part of the day yesterday in a boat, caught some fish. It was just, we are very lucky to live where we live.
Certainly are.
1-1. Jackie Bradley Jr. and a chopper foul. 1-2.
In the meantime, both pitchers seem to be settling in nicely. Phil Hughes been filling up the strike zone here.
Sent down 5 in a row since Benintendi's home run.
It's just such an important part of the game for a pitcher to be able to throw the ball in the zone and miss bats. Not easy. If it was easy, we'd have a lot of pitchers in the Hall of Fame.
Hit into the shift. It's Sano over there with nobody on base, and he makes Mauer stretch a little bit. 1 away. And before Vasquez is at bat, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. Download the app, take Fox Sports North and Twins baseball with you wherever you go. Now the number 9 batter, Christian Vasquez, who hit a slicing line drive over the head of Robbie Grossman, but Grossman got there just in time to make the catch for the 3rd out of the 2nd inning. Red Sox had a couple of men on base at the time, so that was a pretty big play.
Phil Hughes getting his share of ground balls to start this ball game. Typically gets quite a few more fly balls than ground balls, but
I've asked Bert about that, and I don't know that we'll know the answer till maybe the All-Star break. But as he pitches through this first half, the ball lifted to right, playable for Grossman, with a different arsenal, with a different mode of attack. We might see that. We might see that he'll be much more of a ground ball pitcher than he ever was when he was throwing fastballs.
well, I think the command of his breaking ball, when he throws his breaking balls down in the zone, his changeups down in the zone, he's going to induce more ground balls, I believe. Now his fastball is a pitch that he's always liked up in the zone. Even when he was throwing in the mid-90s, he liked throwing that fastball up. So those are the more typical fly ball type pitches. But if he turns into more breaking ball off-speed stuff, yeah, we might see that.
He's got Pedroia with one of each, a fly ball to center in the first and a ground ball to second in the third.
2 quick outs, though, and that's the key. Phil Hughes has been filling up the strike zone, getting first pitch strikes.
Sano backs up, gloves, and Mauer had to stretch the other way. Joe won't have to go to a chiropractor thanks to Sano's throws here in the 5th inning, but it was a 1-2-3 inning.
Eddie Rosario looking to extend his hitting streak.
Eddie Rosario hitting the bottom of the order for most of the season, but he's swinging the bat like a middle of the order guy.
He certainly has heated up, and that's one of the reasons he's had that 14-game hitting streak, looking to extend that here in his second at bat tonight. But he's a free swinger. He'll see the ball all parts of the strike zone and some of it out of the strike zone. There's the season splits for Eddie. And you can see in the first 11 games, not so good, but almost 400 in his last 14 games.
There's a fair ball, and he's extended the hitting streak with an extra base hit. Rosario to second with a first pitch double here in the 5th inning.
Well, that's what Eddie can do. He can shoot the ball the other way, almost as good as Joe Mauer. And when he gets a pitch away, he'll go that way. Good for him. Those are the things that fans catch on to and you don't want to see and be a part of. You see him. It's like a slider there was quite flat.
When you hear us talk about, particularly we have lately with Buxton, letting the ball travel a little bit, that's what we're talking about. Eddie Rosario made contact with that ball over home plate.
He did, but did you see where his head was relative to his hands? His chin and his eyes were right on the baseball. No lift at all from his front shoulder.
Deep to the left field corner, but a hook and a foul ball.
And that's the difference between hitting streaks and those numbers that we saw early in the season. You know, when you're pulling off like Byron Buxton was early, here's the point of contact again. Look at how absolutely still his eyes are to the baseball. It's just remarkable. Those are the things you have to be able to do in order to put the ball in play.
One strike to Dozier. You know, it's fun to watch during a game. I particularly notice it more during batting practice. A batter's swing, and maybe we can see it here with Dozier. The ball is 2/3 of the way to home plate before the bat starts moving forward. It's amazing to me how anybody can hit a baseball. Now in batting practice it's a little easier to watch it because the batting practice pitches are 55 miles per hour. This guy throws 95.
You know what's even more amazing?
Strike taken, 1 and 2.
Is guys will hit for 15 years and absolutely crush things. And then the great gift of age sets in, and their hand-eye coordination, something happens, and they're slower. And they can't do what they did. And we're talking just what you said, fractions of a second slower. But all of a sudden the results are not there, and pretty soon they end up with new careers. It's amazing to me.
1 and 2 to Dozier, trying to take advantage of a leadoff double. And Rosario might have been out if the ball throw hadn't hit him. Had it been caught, he might have been out.
I don't know where it hit him, but hopefully not in the head.
Right in the helmet.
Thank God it stayed on. There's Eduardo Nunez. He might be dragging him off.
Dozier with a half swing. Did he go? Yes. And Dozier is struck out.
Pitcher's pitch right there. That's a tough one. Number 1 to lay off of. See Brian, he commits.
He didn't go. I don't think he went.
Well, the bat crossed the plate, so yeah, he went. I mean, if he makes contact, it could, be a duck fart over the second baseman's head.
Well, Dozier striking out for the second time against a guy he's had great success against, and now Joe Mauer.
I'd like to have it back because that's the pitch that when Brian's really swinging well, he can handle. He likes the ball down and in.
Joe got one up, tried to send it into the seats. One strike. Here's what we were talking about before, how late a hitter's swing is in relation to the ball coming towards home plate, and we're going to slow that swing up and show you what we're talking about. And it's amazing, you know, hitters who make contact but they're not hitting line drives, or they talk about backspinning a ball. How do you do all that? How can you accomplish all that when a white blur is heading to your you know, to where you're standing in slow motion? Now watch when Mauer's swing, and the ball's 2/3 of the way to home plate.
It was, and it is remarkable. I mean, everybody likes to talk about their favorite sport and what the most gifted athletes are, but you bring up a great point. It's a very, very difficult thing. Ted Williams said the hardest thing in the world is hit a round baseball squarely. I can argue the other end of it. How to miss a bat at 60 feet when you're releasing it at 55. That's not easy either.
1-1 to Mauer.
But it's a great game, and you know, we can make it sound so easy up here at times. All us analysts can do that, former players, but in reality, it's a very, very tough game. The best of the best are out there playing it at this level, and when they fail and have hiccups, their careers are altered. They have to, it's always the best of the best that stays here.
So when we were talking about Buxton letting the ball travel just a little bit forward, we're talking a microsecond.
Yep. We are, but I think more so with Buxton than anything else from what I've witnessed this year is where his eyes and head is in that last split second that you're talking about. He's actually tracking the ball just a split second longer, and that in itself has given him the ability to make better contact.
2-1. Tapper up the right side. Moreland will field. Tag Mauer, and on the play Rosario goes to third, but the Dozier at bat looming large now because Dozier did not advance Rosario. 2 down, and that'll bring up Miguel Sano.
Well, this has turned into kind of a pitcher's duel so far anyway, and both teams not getting a lot of opportunities here in the last couple innings.
Sano will be intentionally walked to get Grossman to the plate. And that's the thing I'm sure Paul Molitor wrestled with, really having to put Grossman in the outfield with Buxton's unavailability to start. Carl Willis coming to the mound to talk to Rodriguez. But how do you structure a lineup to give Sano some protection? And great example here of what happens if there's nobody there who the Red Sox respect enough to not walk Miguel Sano. Bobblehead by day, Guardian by night. Marvel Rocket Raccoon Twins bobblehead giveaway is Saturday, May 6th. The first 10,000 fans receive a bobblehead courtesy of Marvel as the Twins take on the Red Sox, and that is tomorrow. For more information, visit twinsbaseball.com or the ballpark app using your mobile device. Sano was up in a key spot at the end of the game last night. Twins took 3 walks. He represented the winning run. Couldn't get the hit then, isn't even given the opportunity here in the 5th inning. And Grossman takes a strike over the inside corner.
Well, Paul Molitor is kind of in a tough situation right now because he's got a guy that could be a threat in Kenny Vargas on the bench. He's hit the ball well since he's been called up, but the guy at the plate, Robbie Grossman's had better numbers off this pitcher, and Paul wants to play him too. He's had a good start to his season.
Infield hit. Well, actually it was an outfield hit off the glove of the third baseman. A single and a run batted in the first inning.
You know that flex plan commercial that we see where Dozier and Sano are flexing? I went up to Kenny Vargas today and said, "You and Sano arm wrestle. Who's going to win?" And he smiled. He said, "I don't know. Probably me."
Ooh. Vasquez held that pitch for good reason. That pitch has been called a strike.
It has been. Yeah, there's the flex plan, and we got to get Vargas in that one too because he claims that he can defeat that.
Okay.
And I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, it'd be kind of fun to watch it, but we don't want to get anybody hurt.
No.
2 big guys, man. You stand next to those two, and even I feel small.
Nice stop by Vasquez, can't find it, and then Rosario came a third of the way down to home. If Vasquez had taken a step toward the backstop, Rosario might have tried to score.
He might have, and Eddie's pretty good at that. He's reading the catcher more than where the ball is. You've got to do both, and then you've also got to make a decision to put the skids on. See, Vasquez keeps the ball in front of him, but he doesn't know where it goes. Either that or he's trying to deke, and that's happened before too, where you try to deke the runner and turn around, pick it up, and tag him out.
2-2 to Grossman.
Big run sitting there 90 feet away. Standing there, I should say.
And a changeup got him. Twins waste a leadoff double. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm.
Into the top of the 6th inning. We're in the Minnesota Lottery winner's circle with the Zacharias family from Stillwater, Minnesota. We're here with Father Charles. Your family's celebrating a pretty big event tonight. What is that?
Yes, Andrew's 7 years old today. We're here to celebrate the game. It's actually, the tickets are for my birthday, but we're making it a family affair tonight, so.
And 7 years a Twins fan, but I know you've been a Twins fan for much longer, so you must be enjoying this first month of the season.
I am, exactly. When I was 7, it was 1987, so we all know about that. So let's hope we get another one of those years, huh?
Yes, let's hope they keep it going. Well, you are going to take home $100 worth of scratch-off tickets from the Minnesota Lottery. We'll get all of that over to you. We hope you guys enjoy your night, and we hope you enjoy your birthday, young man. Guys, back to you.
Happy birthday.
You remember 1987, don't you?
Yeah. I don't have quite the same fond memories as a lot of Twins fans do, but you know, as far as Twins history, I'm happy for them.
Twins will be celebrating the 30th anniversary of that World Championship year later on this summer. Outside, and it's 2-1 to Benintendi. Called out on strikes in the first. He homered to straightaway center on a pretty well located changeup in the third.
You got to start watching Phil's pitch count, closing in on 70 pitches.
Swing and a miss. 2-2.
Good command of that fastball right there.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that it would be a slam dunk for Benintendi.
Yeah, and all of a sudden this guy named Judge shows up.
Haniger was going great for the Mariners before he got hurt. 2-2. And line foul.
You see right there, Jason Castro calling for a fastball up, giving that target about a little bit above the hands, a little below the letters. That pitch was not a strike a decade or two ago. See also a little change, the rippling in Phil Hughes' jersey and uniform. It's windy all of a sudden.
Blowing hard out toward right field. Outside 3-2. First 3-ball count for Hughes.
His old glory.
Betts on deck. Full count. Popped up. And I don't know what the wind did to that, but still out of play.
Well, again, it shows confidence for Phil Hughes. That ball is fastball right down the middle. Here's a guy that just took him deep. The bat before that, but he's not afraid to throw fastballs in the zone and get his teammates involved in the game. You're not always going to strike a guy out, but he doesn't want to walk him. He knows the importance of getting that first guy out.
Another 3-2. Past Mauer into right field, and Benintendi will be at first, but he had to hit his way aboard.
Yep. And really, is that much worse than walking a guy? Now, stat-wise, and maybe when you go to arbitration, it's worse, but your outfielders and infielders don't look at it any different. In fact, they appreciate you challenging the hitter.
Mookie Betts with a double and a sinking line drive caught by Rosario.
Benintendi's got some good speed at first base. A lot of these Red Sox younger players, Benintendi, Betts, Bogarts, they all run well. Bradley Jr.
Inside ball one. Center. Kepler hustling in and making the catch. One away. Only in Minnesota can you take a horseback trail ride and experience Indy-style go-karts all on the same day. Conveniently located just minutes from all the Twin Cities major attractions, including family fun attractions for all age groups. Find endless ideas for the perfect getaway at exploreminnesota.com/escapes and share your favorites with #OnlyAnMN. Now I can picture you riding a horse with a cowboy hat.
I've done a few hundred times.
Oh, okay.
My favorite trips of all time, when my older boys were younger, took them to a 7-day horseback trail camping trip into the Bob Marshall Wilderness of Montana.
Wow, that sounds gorgeous.
It rained almost every day. We still talk about it as one of our more cherished trips.
Is that right?
Yeah. Dripping wet, trying to dry socks as they hung in our tent. We had a blast.
Ramirez has hit 2 ground balls for outs. And if Hughes can get him to hit it on the ground again, might be able to get a double play. Hughes, who had his first 3-ball count in the Benintendi at bat, now's fallen behind 2-0. Hasn't happened much at all tonight either.
No, not any walks allowed for Phil Hughes. Only one intentional walk for Eduardo Rodriguez. So we've been fortunate to see a lot of strikes in here. Anybody ever go to a ball game to watch pitcher walk again? The answer is no.
No.
So we'll throw strikes.
Right off the end of the bat, and it'll stay foul. Well, when Commissioner Manfred met with the media before the interview he was gracious enough to let us have, he talked about the length of games this year are about the same as they were last year, and then he talked about pace of play and all that. But strikeouts are up again this year, and we've seen the Twins drawing a lot of walks. And to me, with all the strikeouts and the walks, that's going to make for a longer game there. The ball used to be put in play so much earlier in at bats than it is now.
Well, the commissioner did mention pace of game versus length of game.
Right.
There's not a lot they can do about length of game because of things like you just mentioned, strikeouts, walks. And I'm not so sure they're overly concerned about length of game, but you know, when the game gets drug on because of things that they can make a change in, like the intentional base on balls. I'm not a fan of it because I've seen balls go to the backstop and runners advance, but you know, it does speed up the game.
3-1 to Ramirez, and he takes ball 4.
Now Phil was just being careful right there with Hanley Ramirez.
The tying runs in scoring position. And the batter is Bogaerts. Follow Twins baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat mobile app. You can stay connected to the game's best players all season long with game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat today, your #1 app for live baseball. Red Sox trying to rally here in the 6th inning. Still no activity in the Twins bullpen. The pitch count still decent. This will be the 80th pitch for Hughes. Bogaerts poked a single to center in the 2nd inning and then a ground ball to short in the 4th.
Bogaerts coming in today's game hitting at 330. That'll go up a little bit after the 1st inning hit or 2nd inning hit. But he's not a guy to hit a lot of home runs. Hopefully that's the case here too. Get a ball hit hard at somebody. You can see him standing well off the plate.
Foul back. 0-2.
Phil threw a slider his last at bat, or his first at bat. A great location. Bogaerts was able to reach out and still drive the ball. Let's see what Phil might throw him here.
Ahead of him 0-2.
Fastball pretty much right down Broadway. And again, that ball just is sneakier than it looks. Don't go by the radar gun on that. I don't even know what the
87 is what it was blocked at, and he was late on it.
Yeah, and he was way late on it. And look at where it is, almost right in the middle of that strike zone. So for whatever reason, the ball is quicker out of Phil's hands than what the hitter sees.
It might have been a little cutter that he still throws from time to time. 2 strikes again to Bogaerts. Tamper to second. How many? Dozier stumbles, and he may have turned his ankle. With the runner Ramirez cutting in front of him, Dozier may have turned an ankle. He got the out with the 2 runners moving up.
You can see as Brian's approaching the ball, watch what happens to his, I believe it's his right, no, it's his left ankle. Oh, just rolls it right over.
And the presence of mind and focus to, you can see the expression on his face, but to complete the play and get the out.
Hopefully he can walk it off, but yeah.
Falling to his knees. That's a pretty determined player right there. We'll see if he can.
You know, I think what Brian was trying to do is plant that left foot and do the old backhand flip over the shortstop Polanco to try to induce the double play.
I don't think that they would have gotten to the ball hit so slowly to Dozier. He had to charge the ball.
He seemed to be moving quite well. There's
Adrianza just showed up today, and he's stretching the hamstrings.
Phillies don't want to come out of there, and you just let Dave Plummer and Paul Molitor know that.
So now Hughes will try to retire Mitch Moreland. He struck him out twice already tonight, with 2 runners in scoring position.
Yeah, this we talk about key parts of a ball game. This is a key out for Phil Hughes. Go ahead runs at second base. We're getting deeper into the ball game. Top of the 6th inning. Twins up by a run. Needs to make some good pitches here to Mitch Moreland.
Once swinging, once looking.
Put him on.
First base is open, and rookie Josh Rutledge is on deck, so they will walk more. Well, intentional.
The thinking behind this is Moreland got a couple of home runs in his days in Texas. Hit a lot of home runs. Rutledge, right-handed hitter, no home runs, so they know Phil can throw strikes. They're not worried about him walking in a run. They'd rather take their chances with the young right-handed hitter.
4 hits, all singles. A big at bat for the rookie against the veteran right-handed pitcher. On the outside corner, strike 1.
Well, Phil's been attacking the strike zone with fastballs. Quite a few of his first pitch strikes have been fastballs. 9 of them. Nine of his first pitch fastballs or strikes have been fastballs.
Greg Breslow warming up. Popped up center field.
That'll do it.
Kepler retreating. Phil Hughes managed that inning awfully well, and he's left the bases full. That pitchers are the best athletes on the team, and Steven Strasburg, great pitcher, has home run power to deep left center field.
Well, my theory behind that is even a blind squirrel finds an acorn now and then. There are folks that will argue that that's what makes the National League more exciting, to watch a pitcher hit. I would never go to a ball game to watch a pitcher hit unless it's a guy named Madison Bumgarner who likes dirt bikes better than pitching, apparently.
There's Kepler squaring and taking a pitch inside. Well, you came into the major leagues, what, a year or two after the DH. So, but what about professionally, like in the minor leagues? Did you get a chance to hit at all?
When we played National League teams in the American Association, Triple.
Oh, that hit.
Seemed like it hit him.
Did not hit Kepler. It sounded like it hit something on its way to Vasquez, but apparently that's not the case.
Max, as he matures in the game, will go down to first base just because.
Oh, it hit the tip of Vasquez's glove and then hit the umpire. A strike. Now it's 2-1. Kepler, Escobar, and Castro. And the Twins are in need of, one would think, some insurance here, leading 2-1. The wind is really a cyclonic effect here in the ballpark. It's blowing every which way. 3-1.
Well, it's high in the mid to high 70s today and going to be in the low 60s tomorrow. So maybe I'm not a weatherman, but I probably could be. I could be right a little bit once in a while. Be right, qualify. It's going to cool down. I think that's a cold front coming, right?
And a strike on the outside corner.
You know, quite a few fans sitting at home probably saying to themselves, where did this guy come from? Who is this Eddie Rodriguez? He's having a great year. Well, he was part of the trade when Andrew Miller, the great reliever for Boston, was traded to Baltimore. This is who Baltimore gave up.
Kepler put it on the ground and it found a good spot right up the middle for a leadoff single here in the 6th.
First leadoff man the Twins have had.
Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by State Farm. Combine auto and renters and see how much you can save. Twins didn't do anything with Rosario's leadoff double in the 5th. See what they can do with Kepler's leadoff single. Escobar's had a couple good at bats against Rodriguez. A soft line drive caught by Bogarts. Then he had a long at bat ending up with a single, beating out an infield hit. Off-speed pitch called strike 1. Red Sox 3 games back of the Yankees in the East. Twins a half game behind Chicago and Cleveland in the Central.
Boston with one more win and one more loss than the Twins coming in tonight's game.
Up, and it's 1-1.
Rodriguez started Escobar off with the first pitch changeup down and away, and he's done a good job of that against right-handed hitters. Throwing that changeup in a good spot down and away. We're just not seeing a lot of changeups to lefties, and that's because he has a tougher time commanding it down and away to a left-hander.
Swing and a miss. 1-2.
Both pitchers not afraid to throw their fastball, and at times right down the middle, challenging the hitter to put the ball in play.
But, you know, to a novice like me, it's more impressive that Hughes is going. He doesn't have Rodriguez's fastball. He's trying to get by on 91. This guy can throw 95, 96.
Yeah, but again, the hitters are not picking up the ball. I mean, there's something about Phil Hughes's fastball that's sneaky.
Fouled into the seats.
Now, there's one for all the analytics guys. You know, how do you analyze something that you can't put a number on? But it exists. It truly exists. I've watched Greg Maddux, who's in the Hall of Fame, from center field cameras for years, and said, how does this guy get anybody out? But hitters didn't pick up the baseball. It was on them before they could react.
And of course, Maddux had surgical precision with his pitches. He threw the ball exactly where he wanted to, and at the velocity he wanted to. Whatever was within his range. He'd take a couple miles per hour off.
And he'd start balls out of the zone and he'd come back in. He'd start balls in the zone and go out of the zone.
1-2 to Escobar. Popped up. And the wind is pushing this into right field. It left home plate looking like it would be caught behind second base. And Betts had to come in and call Pedroia off to make the catch. Down and now Castro.
Yeah, it became a little bit of a particular funny situation for Betts. I mean, Pedroia doing the right thing when you hear the outfielder call you off. they have the right in those situations to do that. But then Betts had to stay with it because the ball kept coming back towards the infield. He had to stay with it in order to be able to catch that one.
Castro called out on strikes in the second. Hit a liner to the corner. Nice catch by Benintendi. Got a good jump on the ball. And foul to the screen. Kelly warming up in the Boston bullpen. Rodriguez getting close to the 100 pitch count. And another foul fly into the seats. 0-2.
Twins got to him for 2 runs, kind of in an odd way. Back in the first inning, Joe Mauer was hit by a pitch, and then Miguel Sano hit a ball that we thought was going to be foul. Ends up going off the wall in right field for a triple, followed by a kind of a seeing eye base hit by that guy, Robbie Grossman. So the Twins put 2 on the board early, and since then Eddie Rodriguez has really done a nice job.
2 strikes to the Twins catcher. That's to the left. Benintendi retreating and making the catch on the edge of the track. If Benintendi looks a little tentative in left field, you have to understand in his home ballpark that's a double. He's not used to retreating 320 feet from home plate.
Yeah, that would be off the monster in Fenway.
You enjoy pitching there?
No. No, you got to remember, when I pitched against the Sox, they had some guys that could mash.
Lynn, Rice, Boggs.
They had some hitters.
Yeah.
And it's a hitter's ballpark, let's face it. A lot of room in center field, but also a lot of room in the gap. So
here's Polanco. Polanco doubled over the third base bag in the second. And a fly ball to Benintendi in the fourth.
Kepler pretty good speed at first base. If for some reason Polanco could find a gap in the outfield, another double, I'm sure Max would be sent.
On the outside corner. This is Boston's only trip here. We'll make one visit to Fenway Park, and that comes at the end of June. Another 4-game series at Fenway.
Well, we mentioned earlier about Boston's troubles on defense with committing errors last in team defense.
Dribbler to third, and Kepler's forced at second. And the Twins come up empty-handed in the 6th, on to the 7th in a 1-run game.
back in the first inning. Miguel Sano lifts the ball to right field. Mookie Betts couldn't field it. Joe Mauer comes around after being hit by a pitch from first base for the first RBI. Robbie Grossman follows with a ball that's just off the third baseman's glove. Sano scores. Those are the 2 runs for the Twins. A straightaway center field home run for Andrew Benintendi. And that's it right there. 2-1 ball game.
And Phil Hughes out there to at least start the 7th inning. Jackie Bradley Jr. will lead things off.
Phil's still in a pretty good position pitch count wise. Gets through this inning, 15 pitches or less. It'll be a great outing for him.
And he wants to talk it over with Castro. Well, given the status of the Twins bullpen, these extra,
it's huge.
I won't say innings, we'll say outs. Even if he gets 1 or 2 here, it's a huge lift for the bullpen.
It really is. The difference between 6 innings and 7 innings, and Paul maybe using 2 guys instead of 3 or 4, it's absolutely huge. I think the overuse of a bullpen in the month of April is what really hurt the Twins last year.
Missing the outside corner, ball 1. Breslow was warming up. Now it's Rogers and Presley. And a high strike call, and that got the attention of Jackie Bradley Jr.
Well, those guys warming up. Both those guys much needed. This is the last pitch there, brought to you by Carrier. In the zone, a little high.
There's a lot of reasons why this is a 2-1 ball game, but one of them is we've had a generous strike zone, in my opinion.
I'd agree with that.
2-1,
especially up in the zone.
Yeah. And lifted foul and out of play.
One thing a veteran player like Phil Hughes recognized, though, if you're going to get those pitches, stay up there, because hitters aren't handling it. It's a different thing when you see results of something you want to do and they go south on you. Guys are handling the pitches. Well, they're not handling it, and if the umpire is going to call it, I remember Tommy John started a ball on the outside corner. You get the call, and he'd go 2 inches outside off the corner, and get the call, and the next one would be 3 inches outside off the corner.
Keep going out there till you start getting the call, right?
Absolutely. Find the limits of that umpire.
2-2. 3-2. Well, now Bert said the same thing, that umpires have their own individual umpires. Have you, as a broadcaster, noticed that strike zones are more uniform than they used to be?
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
I want to put a little thought into it anyway.
Okay. All right. Full count. And a high fly to right field. The wind is going to have fun with this. Well, Grossman stayed under it, made the catch, 1 away. May 16th is Scrubs Night at Target Field. A limited number of Scrubs Night theme night ticket packages are available that include a game ticket and a Twins Scrub top. Go to twinsbaseball.com/scrubs to learn more about the Scrubs Night theme night offer. One down. Here's Christian Vasquez. One of the factors here in allowing Hughes to get back out there and get some outs in the 7th inning is where we are in the Boston batting order.
All right, to answer your question.
Okay.
I think overall it's very similar to what it was in our generation.
Okay.
You're going to have your good umpires, your not so good umpires. You're also going to have your pitcher-friendly umpires and your hitter-friendly umpires.
Sano knocks it down, picks it up, fires, got him!
Nice play.
Sano backhanded a one-hop smash, picked it up, and then rifled his throw across the diamond.
He does possess a strong throwing arm. See it again here. Backhanding it, knocking it down, not panicking, picking it up, showing that he's got a lot of time with that arm. Throws a strike over to Joe Mauer. The one thing, Dick, that I think has changed is you don't get as much in and out as you did in our generation. I think we were able to get balls off the plate more.
Okay.
But you're getting more balls up.
Okay.
Belt high up to maybe sometimes even the letters. Those pitches weren't strikes in our generation. So The overall strike to ball ratio, I think, is similar. It's just a different zone.
Prior to tonight, Hughes' longest outing was 6 innings, twice. Now he's gone 6 2/3. 2-0 to a dangerous hitter, Dustin Pedroia. Fouled back. He got a pitch up and tried to tie the game.
Well, he's going to reach back a little bit. He knows that this next out will be the end of the night for himself. And see, he's 4 pitches away from that magical number of 100 pitches. But more importantly, he's been in the game. This is a tight ball game. And Phil Hughes has shown why he's keeping everybody excited about what he's doing. He's got 4 wins. There's the pitch count by inning. 6th inning, 21 pitches, his high mark.
Slow breaking ball, tap foul. 2-2.
He has given up 5 hits so far, but only the one that really hurt him, that was Benintendi's home run to center field.
Change up, down and away, right?
Yeah, pitcher's pitch.
2-2 to Pedroia.
I love watching Pedroia. I always pull for the guys that aren't the biggest guys. And here's one of the smallest guys in baseball, and he's been a star for years.
To right center field. Chased by Grossman. He won't get there. He'll play the carom, barehanding it and firing it in. And it's a double for Dustin Pedroia. A great at bat for Pedroia, and that'll get Benintendi to the plate one more time.
Well, Paul Mahler's got Rogers ready to go in the pen, and you know, I think it's going to make a move. Let's watch what Phil Hughes uses here to try to get out Pedroia. All breaking balls. And again, the location of that last pitch, down and away. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the hitter. Great effort by Phil Hughes.
Twins dealing with the disappointment of sending their number 3 starter to the minor leagues yesterday, but their number 4 guy stepped up big tonight. To the lineup off balance all night long.
Yeah, he's been talking with his pitching mate Ervin Santana there about that last pitch to Dustin Pedroia, and he asked him, was it down and away, and he goes, yeah, it was down and away, and he still was able to hit it. So there are times pitchers never want to give hitters credit, but that was a great piece of hitting there by multi-year all-star Dustin Pedroia. Taylor Rogers, new pitcher for the Twins.
He went up 1 hit and 12 at bats to left-handed batters, and he will face Benintendi for the first time. Benintendi already has 2 hits, including a home run to center field. Tying run at second. Benintendi's resume through the minor leagues and so far in the big leagues is it really makes no difference. Left-handed, right-handed.
This guy, from what I hear, is not intimidated by anybody. He's just a pure hitter, and looks like he's been in the big leagues for 10 years already.
Check swing foul, and Rogers gets ahead 0-2. It does make a difference to Rogers which side the hitter is standing.
Yeah.
You can see 300 against lefties, but for Rogers, he's so much better against lefties and righties.
Well, he's thrown 2 really good breaking balls here to get ahead. No balls, 2 strikes.
And Castro scoops ball 1.
Trying to see if he'd maybe chase one out of the zone. Again, talked about Castro being able to block pitches. That's another one that a lot of guys might take for granted, but he was able to keep it in front of him.
Let's see what right-handers have done against Rogers. One and 2 to Benintendi.
Well, but Castro and Rogers kind of trying to get their decision making together there. You don't want to make a mistake out over the plate here. You're ahead of the count.
Breaking ball off the end of the bat. Short right field. Grossman there. Rogers gets his man. And Pedroia stranded at second. Ball break brought to you by T-Mobile. Oh my goodness, James Paxton now with King Felix already on the disabled list. Paxton on the disabled list with a frightening description, a strained left forearm. And then Matt Carpenter with his 5th home run of the season. Paul Goldschmidt with the surprising Diamondbacks hitting number 10. It's amazing, Jack, how many frontline pitchers, I mean not just run-of-the-mill fill out the rotation guys, I mean the very best pitchers. Cole Hamels for the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
King Felix pitch inside. Rosario will take ball 1.
It almost seems like in this generation it's more the norm than not that they don't go through the whole year without an injury.
David Price, for the Red Sox. Marcus Stroman for the Blue Jays on the disabled list. Corey Kluber of the Indians. White Sox still haven't gotten a pitch thrown by Carlos Rodon. 2-0. Royals put Ian Kennedy on the disabled list yesterday. Swing and a miss. Rosario doubled to the left field corner his last time up.
And that extended his hitting streak to 15 games. But the Twins could not get him in. He was the leadoff hitter that inning. on second base.
And now 3-1. Dozier on deck. Just good to see Dozier still staying in the game after his ankle turn a couple innings ago. Swing and a miss, and another off-speed pitch. Well, Rosario has his double. Kepler has a single. And that's been it in terms of left-handers getting hits. Bauer was hit by a pitch. A guy who's been vulnerable to left-handed hitting has kept the Twins' left-handed batters pretty much in check. Full count to the leadoff man in the bottom of the 7th. There's one hit to right center field, and that's down for a gap. And Rosario will have another extra base hit. The ball pinned against the padding, and he will try for third and reach safely with a leadoff triple.
Well, Jackie Bradley Jr. just couldn't manage that ball when it ricocheted off the wall in center field, and that was just enough to allow Eddie Rosario, as he's rounded second base, to take a peek out there, and knowing that he can make it to third. Again, great hand-eye coordination. Eddie's been hot as of late, and that's going to be it for Eduardo Rodriguez, who pitched a very nice ball game himself tonight. See, the ball got caught underneath that padding out there. This is real time. And this is when I got excited. I started yelling, "Go!"
And a leadoff triple, sending Rodriguez to the dugout. And the Twins will try to do something with Rodriguez to Rosario's second extra base leadoff hit. Add to the lead with Rosario's leadoff triple here in the 7th. Brian Dozier will have a chance to drive him in through a drawn-in infield with Joe Kelly on the mound.
See the numbers for Joe Kelly this year. He's appeared in 11 games. Very respectable 2.5 ERA.
Walks a little high for 14 1/3 innings. He's walked 8 men. The infield is in for Dozier. Swing and a miss.
No, you got the right guys at the plate right now. 3 shots of trying to get a guy in 90 feet away. Brian Dozier would really do himself proud by trying to go the opposite direction.
Sure seems like he's being pitched out consistently in the outer half of the plate. Swing, strike 2.
That's where you want to pitch Brian. He's always handled the ball inner half well. He loves to open up quick and snap that ball in the inner part of the plate.
Dozier struck out twice tonight. There's 20 strikeouts in 104 at bats. Trying to put the ball in play here with 2 strikes. Puts it up high.
Kelly's always been known to get that fastball up there in the almost triple digit area. Still throwing in the high 90s. That last one 97.
Two and two. Rosario, of course, runs pretty well. Wouldn't take that deep of a fly ball to get him in from third base. And now 3-2. Had him 0-2. Now it's a full count with Mauer on deck.
Dozier showing good patience again. That wind is definitely playing a role. You see Brian kind of squinting his eyes. I'm sure the sand and debris is blowing all over down there on the infield.
Called third strike.
Well, that's a pitcher's pitch right there.
Hitters from both teams have been squawking with Trip Gibson over his strike zone.
Even though that ball where we see it ended up is off the plate, I'm sure it crosses the front part of that plate in the zone. Pitcher's pitch.
Well, third time that Dozier has struck out. Second time that in a row that he's struck out with Rosario in scoring position and nobody out. Here's Mauer, hit by a pitch and a couple of ground balls. Infield in for Mauer. Blocked by Vasquez. You just get the sense, certainly more so than in the fifth inning, that the Twins have got to get Rosario in. That the one run isn't going to be enough.
Well, you hope it is, but insurance runs are always critical, and that's what these next two guys are in the lineup for. You know, they're supposed to be able to pick up those runners on third base in these situations.
No, there are two bases open. Mauer has got as good an eye as anybody, and he's the toughest strikeout in the league.
Yeah, and might just walk Sano.
And then Sano wouldn't get a chance to hit anyway. You wouldn't think they've already intentionally walked him once. Twins have not taken a walk. They were given one in the fifth inning. On the outside corner, 2-1.
Kelly's got two real plus pitches. He can throw a fastball way in the high 90s, but that curveball right there, just a little 12-6. It's a tough one for anybody when he locates it on the black like he just did for Joe there. That's a tough pitch to hit.
On the outside corner, and it's 2-2.
Well, you've seen two of them, and I got to believe that he's going to go right back to it. Now Joe Mauer needs to adjust. Both those last two pitches have been almost identical.
Ground ball through the hole and into right field. Mauer delivers, and Rosario scores. It's 3-1.
With the infield drawn in, Joe is able to hit it hard enough past a diving Dustin Pedroia, and he picks up that all-important third run. Putting the ball in play. Joe's always been able to get to two strikes and still feel comfortable. And that's probably the worst of the three curveballs that Joe Kelly threw him. That one left over the middle of the plate a little bit. Joe Mauer puts it on a nice swing, gets it by Pedroia there, and Rosario scores easily.
Single, so first base is occupied. We'll see how aggressively they pitch Sano. swing and a strike. Sano yesterday struck out 4 times. He has struck out once here today. Intentionally walked his last time up.
That last swing is something that he did a lot of last year, and we haven't seen that much of this year. Those little check swings where he commits and then he can't break, hold up. It's got to be the toughest thing for a hitter to do, is you see a strike and then it's out of the zone. And you're already swinging and have to hold your hands back without breaking that plane. Tough thing to do.
Hitters and hitting coaches talk about bat speed. This guy's got a lot of bat speed, and how in the world he can check his swing in time at all. He's done it a lot.
And he's got a heavy bat too. I mean, he swings a little bit heavier bat than most guys.
So James Rowson, the hitting coach. 2-1 to Sano. Toward the hole and through. Sano has a pair of hits, and the Twins have 3 hits and a growing threat here in the 7th inning.
You just got the sense in that at bat that Miguel Sano was sitting on the breaking ball. Joe Kelly stood him up with a fastball at 99 the previous pitch, and then he went back to the breaking ball. Those were the pitches he tried to get Joe Mauer out with. 3 breaking balls that Joe finally put in play the 3rd one. And Sano doing the same thing there.
All Kelly's been guilty of is getting a couple of ground balls, but they've both gone for hits.
Yeah, the first pitch, 88-mile-an-hour breaking ball, then he threw the one fastball up and in. My old teammate Carl Willis out there. Hope to talk to Carl tomorrow. I'm going to ask him how many more uniforms he's going to wear before retirement. Hey, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent to the Minnesota Twins.
He'll be with us all weekend, and then I think Roy Smalley's on the road trip, and you're doing pre- and post-game duty.
Yeah, switching it up a little bit here.
Here's Robbie Grossman hitting from the left side. First and second, 1 down. Down and in. This would be, I think, a particularly tough matchup for Kelly, because Robbie is very patient from the right side of the or from the left side of the plate. This year he's just about halved his hits, right-handed and left-handed, in terms of a batting average, but he really likes to see a lot of pitches on the left side of the plate. And he takes a strike, 1-1.
Well, such an important inning, and you mentioned it early that Eddie Rosario leads off with a stand or a sliding triple. Probably could have stood up. And then the Twins had opportunities. We needed that run, and they got him in. Now we got a chance to add on here.
2-1.
And really give a little bit of a breather out there in the bullpen. Matt Belisle has been thrown, I think.
Belisle's warmed up, ready for the 8th. Fastball and a foul tip.
99-mile-an-hour with a little tail on it. Catcher wants it up. It's got to be a fastball. It's the only thing you want to throw up in the zone.
And Grossman knew it. 99 for a called 3rd strike, 2 down, and that'll bring up Kepler.
You wonder sometimes, as fans at home watching, well, how can he take a ball right down the middle? Well, he was sitting on the breaking ball, and he got the express. And sometimes you just say, I've got to guess one way or the other. If I sit on a breaking ball, he hangs it, I got a good chance of hitting it. But he You know, you can't sit on a breaking ball with a guy throwing 99 and expect that you can adjust to the fastball.
Kepler 1 for 3 tonight, and he won't have a chance to hit against the right-hander. Kelly will be taken out. And it'll be Scott coming in for the Boston Red Sox. Thought for a while we might see our old friend Fernando Abad, but it's Scott instead to pitch to Kepler. To 1. A threat with 2 out and 2 on. And Kepler coming to the plate to face the left-hander.
Robbie Scott, he last appeared on Wednesday night against the Orioles, where he pitched a third of an inning, picked up his 4th hold. You see in 11 games a very good 1.8 ERA. 5 innings is all he's got in so far. Situational guy. In here to get out the left-hander Max Kepler.
Kepler hitting just 136 against lefties. Breaking ball taken low and away.
That's not fair. Guy drops way down. He's throwing out of second base. You're supposed to hang in there. You ever face a right-hander that did that? You were a right-handed hitter, weren't you?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
a long time.
All right. We're both patient. Do you remember it? Do you remember? Well, you know, the first time you saw a sidearm guy.
Right.
Tell me your knees didn't buckle a little.
Well, no, they didn't. But they and the rest of my body were in the dugout. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm not hanging in there against those guys.
I felt the same way when it happened to me.
1-1, and Kepler swings through the 74-mile-per-hour breaking ball.
Well, the Twins are going to see a great pitching matchup on Sunday. Chris Sale off to a great start. They've had his number in recent years, but he doesn't throw that far down, but he comes from sidearm almost.
And a fastball taken for a called 3rd strike. Twins get 1 thanks to Rosario's leadoff triple, and it's 3-1.
Jeff Grayson with your Mall of America Studio Sports Update. Twins baseball continues tomorrow afternoon. Join us Saturday at 12:30 p.m. when the Twins get ready to take on the Boston Red Sox in Game 2 of their series at Target Field. That's Saturday afternoon at 12:30 on Fox Sports North.
And then, of course, as you mentioned, a great pitching matchup set up for Sunday. Do a weekly radio show up in Fargo, and I said, hey, I don't know if you want to come down, but this could be something special with Chris Sale going against Irvin Santana. Matt Belisle will get the 8th inning here tonight.
Well, Matt Belisle finding himself kind of evolving into that 8th inning guy at times. Paul Molitor going to him in this situation, trying to protect a 2-run lead. He's going to have to face Mookie Betts, Hanley Ramirez, and Xander Bogaerts.
Strike on the outside corner. Belisle's been a nice add to the bullpen, both in terms of the numbers he's posted, but for what he's meant to the other relievers. He's been good against both righties and lefties, stingy in giving up hits to both sides. And he hits the outside corner again, and it's 0-2.
Can't emphasize enough the importance for relievers to come in and get strike one. That first pitch, when it's a strike, such a huge difference maker. And those are the guys that stick around.
Off the plate, 1-2. That's with a double and 2 lineouts. Got him. And Betts shakes his head and heads back to the dugout.
He got kind of caught in between. He took a half swing. He thought he held up, but I'm pretty sure he went around.
Jack, that wasn't a strike.
He swung. See?
Huh?
Ball's Betts way out in front of the plate. That's a swing.
Okay. One down. Here's Ramirez. Well, to underscore your point, we've had a lot of high strikes called in this game.
Yes, we have.
And Ramirez takes one down and away, strike one.
It's been a well-pitched game for both sides. Only 4 runs on the board. The Twins have 3 of them. Making the best or the most out of their opportunities, especially in the 7th inning.
Off the plate, 1-1. If this goes as planned, Belisle pitches an effective 8th, Kinsler an effective 9th, then that would mean that Duffy and Presley would be effectively given a night off, although we saw Presley warm up. He didn't come into the game. 2-1 to Hanley Ramirez.
Nick Tepesch is going to get the start for the Twins tomorrow. I talked to Neil Allen a little bit today, and I asked him, is he on a pinch count? He says, not really. We'll see. But you're right about having a rested bullpen. It could come into effect.
Well, because he's been with the team for 2 weeks and hasn't pitched, it would be unrealistic to expect him to do what Phil Hughes did today and go 7 innings. This is what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Rick Porcello will go against Nick Tepesch in Game 2.
Yeah, those numbers aren't real indicative of how good Rick Porcello can be. Off to kind of a slow start from last year's Cy Young Award winner from the American League. I don't care how many bullpens you throw. He threw a simulated game. I don't care how many of those you throw. It's different than live action on the mound in a major league game. So it's really going to be kind of hard for us to judge or predict what we're going to see out of Tepesch tomorrow.
Full count now to Ramirez. Belisle has the advantage here of pitching with a 2-run lead rather than a 1-run lead, so might be able to go after Ramirez a little more aggressively than he would if it were a 2-1 ball game. Fouled away.
Well, you bring up a good point there. It's so true, especially with nobody on base. You know, you got 2 runs to protect. You got to come after the guy without a base run. A little different once you put guys on base, but challenge him. Phil Hughes did that for 7 innings tonight.
To center. Kepler tracking it. 2 away. And before Bogaerts comes to the plate, we have just enough. Bogaerts 1 for 3. Single his first time up, since then a couple of ground balls.
You look at Xander Bogaerts and you hope that he comes into this series with no home runs. He leaves this series with no home runs. He's going to get a couple hits here and there. He's that good. But you don't want him to hurt you with the long ball. You hit a home run here last year at Target Field.
One and one. And now 1 and 2. Belisle signed in early February, about a week and a half before spring training started. Fouled back, challenged him with a 94-mile-per-hour fastball.
He threw the fastball prior to that pitch in the same location, 93. Then he added 1 mile an hour, and it seemed like Betts was able to speed up his bat a little bit within 1 pitch. Or Bogaerts, I'm sorry.
Two and 2.
Matt Belisle asked me about a week ago. I was talking to him in the dugout. He was asking me about the forkball, and I showed him how I threw it. Very intrigued by it, but I kind of gave my philosophy on the pitch. He was asking me about will it do damage. I said, "Are you willing to do exercises for your elbow?" It's hard to learn new tricks when you're a little bit older.
Kepler glides after it, cuts it off in the gap. A 1-2-3-8 for Belisle. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm.
The bottom of the 8th inning. Stay with us after the game for Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. Anthony LaPanta and Roy Smalley will break down another very strong outing from Phil Hughes. We'll also take a look at Eddie Rosario's night at the plate as his hit streak reaches 15 straight games. And as always, we'll bring you the comments from Paul Molitor. That's all coming your way after the final out, guys.
All right, thank you, Audra. Twins trying to add on another run maybe in the bottom of the 8th inning. Big breaking ball by Scott, and it's strike one to Escobar. Castro and Polanco will follow. One and one. Escobar, the starting designated hitter. Two and one.
Well, we see the velocity of Scott. Kepler had a tough time, real tough time. Took 3 pitches. And a little different story for right-handers, but they're going to blow you away.
2-2.
There's his peak in the fastball, about 91. So much harder for left-handers to stay in there than right-handers.
And Escobar takes a 2-strike pitch. That's been kind of a risky thing to do here tonight with Trip Gibson. A lot of called 3rd strikes tonight.
No, he's called a lot more of them though in the upper part of the zone than down in the zone. See Vasquez there kind of pulling the ball back up, trying to make it look better than it was.
Slow bouncer. Pedroia picks it up. Bang! Gets Escobar by a half step, one down. Take a look at our game break tonight. Let's go to Kauffman Stadium, and you will be watching the longest home run measured this year.
Well, Danny Santana can throw the ball close to 100 miles an hour, and Eric Hosmer got all of that one in the upper fountain. 469. Statcast. I wonder what the exit velocity was. I wonder. 112, I was told, is the exit velocity. Now, do we have the trajectory angle and
launch angle?
Launch angle.
Oh, I'm sure the information's out there.
Do we have the name of the guy who went put on a scuba gear to go grab that baseball?
And a strike. Might still be floating out there someplace.
I doubt it. I doubt it. Those are precious. People will go after those.
Castro 0 for 3. Off the plate, 1-1. And now 1-2. And the Red Sox do to Castro what Twins fielders do many times with 2 strikes. And a left-handed batter up. They'll swing the third baseman Rutledge over to the right side of the infield.
Huge area. Hit the ball down the third base line. 2 strikes.
And of course, we've seen Castro do that a number of times.
Yeah, we have, but they're going to pitch him away too.
And Castro strikes out, swinging, 2 down. Bring up Polanco. Kinsler warming up for the 9th inning. It's just a question of how big a lead it will be, 2 or more.
Brandon looking to pick up his 8th save of the year.
Polanco doubled his first time up, 1 for 3 on the night. Squaring the bunt and taking a ball.
I think he would have got that ball down, he kind of caught third baseman Josh Rutledge off guard there. He looked like he wasn't ready for that. Now he steps in closer to the grass.
Royals ended up beating Cleveland, and Baltimore's beaten Chicago. So if the Twins win tonight, they'll be back on top of the division. That's hit off the end of the bat to left, and Benintendi with the catch. So 1-2-3 eighth, and we head to the ninth, and it is 3-1 Twins with Brandon Kintzler coming in to try to save it.
Brandon Kintzler is always mad at the world.
Salt dog. He's always salty.
If you just watched his body language on the mound, you don't know what's going on.
There's always something wrong with him that day.
But he's a big competitor, loves to win.
That guy just comes out and he knows his strength and he goes right after it.
He's fun to be around.
Spent a week in Winter Caravan with Brandon this year. He was fun to be around, and he's been a really good closer for the Twins when you consider where he was a year ago. And he ended up being a pretty effective closer last year, and so far he's been pretty good this year.
Well, you would probably know the answer to this. I don't, but I know that, was it the Chicago series early in the year that the relievers decided to go have dinner together? Was he instrumental in getting together all the guys?
Yeah, and Belisle was, yeah. The veterans, so guys who've been around a while. Here's Mitch Moreland to lead off the ninth inning. And there's strike one.
Important pitch, strike one. Man, that sounds good.
Phil Hughes rode that philosophy for nearly 7 innings tonight. And Hughes is in position to pick up his 5th win of the year.
He did a great job, 6 2/3, 6 hits, only 1 earned run allowed.
Stood him up 1-1.
Needs 3 outs from this guy, though, to pick up that win. So we're looking for his 8th save.
Moreland, Rutledge, and Bradley scheduled to hit for the Red Sox here in the ninth. Buckled him a little bit. Got another called strike.
Great movement there. That ball started what appeared to be about belt high off the plate at Tad, and then broke down, sunk back down and in. Let's see how it comes back into the strike zone. Castro wanted it away more than it was, but it still had great movement.
Sano can't get there, and the ball scooped up by Grossman, or by Grossman. And Moreland's aboard with a leadoff single. Twins had him shifted, and he hit it hard enough on the ground to have it get past Sano for a single.
Let's watch this. Let's just pretend that Brian Dozier is playing in his normal position. You see how Dozier shifted way over. We can see from our angle up here where the foot tracks are. And that was about 2 feet to Brian Dozier's normal right. So sometimes the shift can work against you. I think that one might have right there.
And now here is Rutledge. Inside ball one. Red Sox have a pinch runner in for Moreland, and it's Devin Marrero. Rutledge was up in a key at bat in the 6th inning. Hughes got him to fly out with the bases loaded. I said at the time that he managed that inning well, because he gave up a leadoff single to Benintendi, got Betts, pitched kind of around Ramirez because he wanted to pitch to Bogarts instead, got him, intentionally walked Moreland, and then ended up getting the rookie Rutledge. 1-1. Another one head toward the hole, and Polanco was not going to have a play either at second or at first. We saw Rutledge's speed in the 2nd inning. So Kinsler getting the ball hit on the ground twice, both times for singles.
Well, this ball's to the right, kind of a broken bat, seeing eye base hit. Polanco does bobble it, but you mentioned it, and I think it's going to be ruled a hit. There's no play he's going to have. It is a hit. Even if he fields it cleanly, the runner Marrero was already almost at second base.
And now Bradley 0 for 3 tonight. He's averaged down to 179.
We saw this for Brandon Kinsler against the Oakland A's just the other day. A couple seeing eye hits, and he was in trouble and worked his way out of it.
Thanks to his catcher, Bradley squares, takes a strike. That was when Castro acrobatically at times blocked pitches in the dirt, kept double play in order, and that was how the game ended. One strike to Bradley. Fouled back, had a big cut, and it's 0-2.
Well, working ahead in the count again.
Kinsler can strike people out, but he's not known as a strikeout pitcher.
I was just going to go there. He's not really, doesn't have that one pitch that's a swing and miss pitch consistently. He gets them occasionally, but it's not a dominant pitch.
Trying to hit the corner but missed.
He has to basically pitch to contact.
And that's why most of your closers have that pitch.
Yeah.
You get in situations like this, and it's nice to be able to count on your pitcher striking somebody out.
You know, that's true for any pitcher. Starters too.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Some guys are pitch to contact guys. It's always nice to have that swing and miss pitch.
I think we saw some of this too in his save against Oakland. Pitches that are left up, and dangerously left up. He's gone upstairs twice to Bradley and gotten foul balls. Whether that's by design or not, I don't know, but you know, Bradley's standing there as a guy representing the go-ahead run suddenly.
Well, the way to, a good indicator is where the catcher's glove is. If he's sitting down and away and it's up, it's a mistake, and he gets away with it. If he sets up, then you know that's where he's trying to throw it.
Another ground ball. Dozier juggles it, recovers, flips in time to get him. Both runners move up, but Dozier juggled it, and Bradley almost beat it out. And instead of the bases full, nobody out, there is one out with 2 men on.
There was a chance, perhaps, if Brian would have fielded it perfectly on that hop right there, that he could have turned and got Rutledge at second base and kept the double play in order, but got rid of the ball quickly. Neil Allen out to take a chat with Kinsler and the gang.
Chris Young is going to hit for Vasquez. With the tying run at second. And only one out. Ryan Butterfield, the third base coach for the Red Sox. Neil Allen strategy session more than anything else. Young on the year, hitting .246. With that 2-run lead, of course, the Twins can play the infield back here. 3 ground balls. And I don't know, Moreland's, I guess, was well hit, kind of skipped by Sano. The other 2 haven't been hit well at all. Kinsler would love to be able to keep the ball on the ground here for the balance of this inning. Inside ball 1.
Well, they'll exchange a run for an out right here, but you need 2 outs.
One and 0. 2-0.
This is another time in a ball game where that swing and miss pitch can really come into handy. You know, I'm not a guy who really digs strikeouts. I don't. You know, sometimes I think it's overrated.
Okay.
But there are situations where strikeouts are huge, and this is one of them. This is where he needs either a pop up in the infield or a strikeout.
There's a strike on the outside corner. Craig Kimbrell if they take the lead. Matt Barnes if they tie it. 2-1 to Chris Young. Missed outside. Pedroia on deck.
And it's not going to get any easier when they turn over the top of the order.
Three and 1. Sano, foul ball. And the Twins would have been happy had it been called a fair ball to exchange the run for the out. Third base umpire Mike DeMuro made the call immediately, and it's 3-2. Again, everything that's been hit has been beaten right into the ground.
Well, you've been watching Kinsler's pitches. Everything's sinking. Everything. His breaking ball, he hasn't thrown that many, but his fastball today is really dropping, and it's hard to get your bat head underneath that baseball. Swing and a miss would really be nice here. Start one about knee high and have it drop out of the zone.
6 strikeouts in 12 2/3 innings. That's a fair ball, and it'll tie the game. Young with a scorching ground ball, and the Red Sox have tied it at 3.
Geez, Miguel Sano is playing preventative no doubles defense there. Only a step or 2 off the line, playing back behind the bag, and yet he ripped that ball right down the line. Mike DeMuro, the third base umpire, standing right there to watch it hit the line. So the ball kind of tailed back in the middle of the plate.
Clearly fair. And now Pedroia with the game tied and the go-ahead run at first, 1 out.
That'll close the book for Phil Hughes. He won't get a decision, which is unfortunate because he pitched a great game tonight.
Rodriguez won't get the loss, and he pitched a great game too.
Yeah, that's true.
Pitch in the dirt, blocked by Castro. Ryan Presley getting loose. 3 singles in the inning, all of them on the ground. The last one scorched over the third base bag. On the right field line into the seats, foul, 1-1. Came into the game with just 2 runs allowed, and the Red Sox have touched him for a pair in the 9th.
Well, he still has a job to do here.
Kepler for the catch, and out number 2. And that'll bring up Benintendi. Bottom of the 9th inning. Asked Paul Molitor about the availability of Byron Buxton to maybe pinch run tonight. He said, well, yeah, he's available, but then he showed up at the ballpark with headaches. They'd prefer not to use him, but now the Twins, if they're going to win tonight, they got to score a run. Here's Benintendi. Check swing, strike 1.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. He tells you one thing, but in reality, he doesn't want to use him. And yet, this game might force a situation that they need to use him for his speed. So we'll see.
Swing and a miss, strike 2. Kinsler, as you said, has some work to do here yet. It's deflating when you're out there, I'm sure, to save a lead, and you don't. Now it's tied, and you have an even more important job.
Yeah,
keeping it tied.
Prevent that go-ahead run. You know, you've got the heart of your lineup coming up. You know that they still can score you a run.
On the ground, weakly to Dozier.
That'll work.
3 singles, 3 outs, 2 runs for Boston, and we're tied at 3. Most of the exchange, Brandon Kinsler's kind of had a bemused look on his face, like, they hit it on the ground, just found some holes, particularly the first 2 base hits. The third one was hit very hard. But then next to him, Dave Prumer talking to Brian Dozier, and I'm sure the topic of conversation was the ankle, which he rolled a couple innings ago. Neil Allen now talking to Kinsler. Bottom of the 9th, Twins haven't had a walk-off win yet, and Eddie Rosario will lead things off.
Well, let's not wait 4 or 5 innings. Let's go ahead and get it right now.
Rosario might be that man. He homered yesterday, and tonight he has a warning track fly ball to left, a double to left, and a triple to right center field. In other words, he's been making contact with the barrel.
He's going to have to hang in there because he's going to see some sidearm funk here.
Good idea. Thought about a bunt and bunted through it. Strike one. And it's entirely possible that Scott will be asked to give Rosario, and there'll be a pitching change. One of the reasons Paul Molitor put the lineup together the way he did, though, was to kind of go right, left through the lineup. Sharply hit. And Rutledge is over at third base now. He made a fine backhanded play with Moreland out of the game. So Rutledge does a nice job taking a hot ground ball and turning it into an out. And true to form, John Farrell comes to the mound to make a pitching change. When the Red Sox pinch ran Marrero for Moreland, they put Rutledge over to first base. One down, bottom of the ninth inning. Vargas in the on-deck circle. He will hit for Brian Dozier. So Dozier's ankle, I presume, is the reason why he is not hitting here in the ninth inning.
The new pitcher for Boston is Matt Barnes. He last appeared Wednesday against the Orioles through 1.1 scoreless innings. Rutledge over to first, and Marrero came in to pitch run. And we got a new catcher too that we didn't see.
Sandy Leon's in there. Barnes will face Kenny Vargas. And if there's a 10th inning, we'll see the Twins debut of Ehire Adrianza. Strike on the outside corner. Barnes, as you may know, the guy that threw behind Manny Machado's head, hit his bat, which inflamed the situation significantly. He received and served a 4-game suspension for that. One and one.
Well, we'll have to give you an update on Brian Dozier, that ankle. I'm sure this is more a case where Paul knows that Vargas can end the game with one swing of the bat, and he's left-handed. So not that Dozier could.
Brian had a difficult time with that ground ball from Bratton, going to his left.
Yep.
Whatever the ankle, however, was feeling, I suspect that play might have.
Well, he's had 3 strikeouts tonight too, so maybe he can't push off.
pull shift in the infield for Vargas, and the count's 2-1. And Rutledge again on the backhand side makes a nice play, out number 2. Well, they say that the ball will find you. And I don't know enough about Rutledge's background to know how much time he's gotten over at first base. But he's made a couple of nice plays over there here in the bottom of the ninth.
You just got to imagine that the line's on your other side. You know, it's the same thing. You got to catch the ball.
Right. And you don't have to throw it. Here's Bauer. Drove in a run with a single in the 7th, hit by a pitch, scored a run in the 1st. Strike on the outside corner. Twins hit 10 home runs in the 3-game series with Oakland and haven't hit one yet tonight.
6 in one game, the first game of the series. It seems like everybody got on in the act. Dozier had a pair of them.
And he's the only guy that hit more than one. 10 home runs were from 9 different hitters. One and one. Off-speed pitch taken for a strike.
It's almost like you can shut your eyes and wait for 2 strikes. Joe's going to get there.
One and two. Sano on deck. High drive, left center field. Going back is Bradley. Going back is Bradley. It's gone. A walk-off home run for Joe Mauer.
How about that?
Blasted into the bullpen, and the Twins win it 4-3. And the Twins pick up their 15th win of the year and the most exciting win they've had this year. Joe Mauer to the opposite field on a pitch that was up and away.
Yeah, this pitch kind of like Eddie Rosario. It's out of the strike zone. But Joe barrels it up. And out of the bullpen it goes.
A great moment for Joe Mauer and the Twins, and Joe's with Audra Martin.
Well, Joe, one of the biggest crowds of this season, the first walk-off victory of the season. Baseball moments don't get too much better than this, do they?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good right there. That's tonight was a heck of an atmosphere. Thank you, guys. Very nice. Yeah, just glad to have that opportunity, and I went over the fence. That's pretty good.
It's your first career walk-off home run. What does that mean for you?
Well, I saved it for the right moment, right? Yeah. 14 years, I guess.
Well, this game starts off a tough stretch of opponents for you guys. The next couple of series, this one included, are going to be some tough opponents. So how big was it to come out and battle back, get a team win like this one tonight?
Oh, it was a good ball game tonight. You know, both pitchers are throwing the ball well, and there's some good defensive plays out there. And, you know, Kinsler made some good pitches, and they just found some holes. So, you know, they tied it up, and I'm glad they're just going back in the clubhouse, turning some music on.
We'll get back in there and celebrate with your team. Congratulations on the win.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
All right, Joe Mauer walking off in style. First career walk-off home run tonight as the Twins take care of the Red Sox. Anthony.
What a finish for the Twins after the Red Sox had tied it in the top of the ninth. Mauer wins it in walk-off fashion for Minnesota. They open the series 4-3 win. We'll preview Game 2, hear from Paul Molitor, and break down this Twins victory, all coming up next on Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink.